Chapter 564, The Divination is Everywhere. 3. Why you, First Elder, you can't let Leng Ruoxue go. Elder Hao was so angry that his entire body was trembling, and he stammered a little to the First Elder. Elder Hao, the First Elder isn't your ally. You should worry about your outcome. Leng Ruoxue reminded kindly. Alas! She was really impressed by Elder Hao's hindsight. Didn't this old man think that the great elder would let Wugong go if he died? I am an elder of the Mystic Association headquarters. Elder Hao was a little scared after hearing Leng Ruoxue's words. Yes. The First Elder had always been on bad terms with Wugong. The First Elder and the others were originally locked up by Wugong, but after the incident at the headquarters, Wugong released the few elders he locked up because he lacked manpower. The first thing they did after coming out was to chase Wugong off the stage. Wugong was in a terrible fix because of Leng Ruoxue, so he had no time to deal with the First Elder and the others. First Elder, are you really unwilling to let Lan Ming be the acting president? Leng Ruoxue ignored Elder Hao's final struggle and said directly to the First Elder. We need to discuss. The First Elder knew that Leng Ruoxue was threatening him, but he was helpless at all. Alas! In terms of strength, all of them combined were not Leng Ruoxue and the others' match. Okay, I'll give you half an hour. If you can't give me a satisfactory result in half an hour, don't blame me for being nasty, Leng Ruoxue said, half warningly and half threatening. She didn't want to continue wasting time with these stinky old men. Since they didn't give her face after discussing it nicely, she had to attack. Miss Leng, half an hour is too short, the First Elder couldn't help but say. Is that so? Then 10 minutes will do, Leng Ruoxue said very seriously. She hated others bargaining with her. Half an hour it is. The First Elder was helpless. Then what are we waiting for? Hurry up and discuss it. 2 minutes have passed, Leng Ruoxue urged, her beautiful face full of impatience. Miss Leng, please wait for a moment. The First Elder gathered the elders present in a corner and began to discuss. Lass, will they agree? The little old man whispered curiously. From the looks of the First Elder, they seemed to have a suitable candidate to replace Wugong. They have no other choice, Leng Ruoxue said confidently. Don't blame me for being ruthless if they don't agree. Leng Ruoxue had already made up her mind that she would attack if these old men refused to give her face. The elders of the Mystic Association headquarters who were discussing this in the corner were all depressed. First Elder, what should we do now? An elder in the corner couldn't help asking. He had seen Leng Ruoxue in the Mystic Association headquarters competition last time, but she was only an elementary mystic the last time he saw her. It hadn't been long since then, and she was actually already a mystic monarch with so many mystic sovereigns protecting her. Alas! He had to suspect that Leng Ruoxue was from the Leng family now. Alas! Tell me first. The First Elder sighed and said helplessly. He didn't expect Leng Ruoxue to be so domineering. It seemed like he had to make a decision today. Fortunately, most of the elders present were his people, so he could still influence their thoughts. First Elder, if we really fight, we're probably not Leng Ruoxue and the others' match, another elder said. He was still relatively rational among the elders. In fact, he felt that there was nothing wrong with letting Lan Ming be the acting president. After all, Lan Ming was the president's disciple. There's no need for you to say that. Even a fool can see it, another elder said with contempt. Would they have endured so much if Leng Ruoxue didn't have so many powerful subordinates by her side? Elder Lu, Elder Wang, stop arguing. Now isn't the time for us to coax each other, First Elder said with some displeasure. He couldn't help being a little depressed as he looked at the elders in front of him and stole glances at the mystic sovereigns beside Leng Ruoxue. Alas! It was no different from not knowing. It was a shock when compared. Why were the mystic sovereigns beside Leng Ruoxue all stronger than the elders of the headquarters? He couldn't understand. The people the headquarters had always absorbed had always been the top. But why was it like this now? First Elder, I think there's nothing wrong with letting Lan Ming be the acting president, Elder Lu said bluntly after hearing the First Elder's words. How can that be? Lan Ming is only a mystic monarch. Our headquarters has been established for thousands of years, and there has never been a precedent of a mystic monarch in charge. Wouldn't the major families laugh at us if news of this were to spread? Elder Wang immediately objected. What's there to laugh about? Lan Ming is the president's disciple, and his aptitude can be considered top-notch. I believe that it won't be long before he can advance to mystic sovereign, so I support him as the acting president. Elder Lu took the lead to express his attitude. I support you too. Many elders began to agree after seeing Elder Liu's stance. I object, Elder Wang said in disapproval. Since most of them are supportive, let Lan Ming be the acting president of our headquarters. This way, we can have an explanation with the president when he comes out of seclusion, the first elder said resolutely and looked at the second elder, who had been silent, with a slight apology. The elder consortium originally chose the second elder, but now. First elder, Lan Ming can't convince the public at all by being the acting president of our headquarters. Moreover, what will become of the second elder by letting a young brat be the acting president of the headquarters? Elder Wang said without giving up. He had nothing to say if the second elder was the acting president. However, he was unwilling to let a young brat ride on his head. So be it. Don't use me as an excuse. I have no objections to Lan Ming being the acting president, the second elder, who had been silent, said lazily. His shrewd eyes kept sneaking glances at Leng Ruoxue. However, he realized that he couldn't see through this young girl at all. Elder Wang, second elder has no objections. Do you still object? The first elder asked lightly. Chapter 565, The Divination is Everywhere, 4, How can I have any objections if the second elder doesn't mind? Elder Wang said helplessly. In fact, he despised the second elder, who he didn't dare to fight for. However, his status was higher than his, so he could only hold his anger in. First elder looked at Elder Wang with a slightly deeper meaning, and then strode to Leng Ruoxue and said, Miss Leng, we've discussed it. We agree to let Lan Ming be the acting president of the headquarters. First elder, your decision is wise, Leng Ruoxue praised. In fact, she had already seen through the thoughts of these elders through baby's mind reading just now. Therefore, she was very clear about those elders with ill intentions, and she did not intend to stay behind. Miss Leng, may I know where Lan Ming is now? The first elder searched among Leng Ruoxue and the others but found no trace of Lan Ming, and couldn't help asking curiously. First elder, I'm here, Lan Ming said speechlessly. Alas! Little Snowy's appearance-changing pill's effects were really extraordinary. No one could recognize him. Ah! You're Lan Ming. Are you disfigured? The first elder asked in disbelief and couldn't help rubbing his eyes. In his heart, Lan Ming was a rare peerless handsome man. How did he become so ugly? No. I was afraid that Wugong would find out, so I changed my appearance. 2 drops of cold sweat hung on Lan Ming's forehead as he explained. Alas! The first elder's imagination was really rich. He was impressed. Oh, it's good that you're not disfigured. The first elder was relieved. In fact, he had a good impression of Lan Ming. He would probably have considered letting Lan Ming be the acting president long ago if not for Lan Ming's strength being too low. Little Lan, eat this. Leng Ruoxue took out a pill and handed it to Lan Ming after hearing their conversation. Oh. Lan Ming took the pill and directly sent it into his mouth, waiting for the medicinal effects to take effect. Time passed slowly. Which one of you isn't afraid of death? How dare you cause trouble in the headquarters? Suddenly, a furious roar sounded in everyone's ears. Immediately after, a beggar covered in dirt barged in angrily. Leng Ruoxue looked at this uninvited beggar speechlessly and was puzzled. Who was this old man? When did such a person appear in the mystic association? With this in mind, her gaze couldn't help turning to the first elder. Don't look at me like that. I don't know this person either, the first elder said silently with his gaze. Elder Tsang's face was full of confusion. Ah. He was very sure that he didn't know this person. Why did this person look more anxious than him, the first elder? He couldn't understand no matter what. Who dares to cause trouble in the headquarters? The dirty beggar couldn't help shouting when he saw that no one was paying attention to him. However, no one bothered with him. Ah. May I ask what's the matter? First elder asked helplessly. Alas. He was the first elder, so he had to stick his head out sometimes. Of course that is something. I heard that someone came to the headquarters to cause trouble, so I came to support you. Who's here to cause trouble? Come out and show me if you have the guts. The beggar looked at everyone present with a deep gaze and said with full force. I'm sorry, senior. You're mistaken. No one came to the headquarters to cause trouble. The first elder sighed softly and said speechlessly. Alas. He really didn't know where this old man came from. Moreover, he couldn't see through the old beggar's strength, so his words were very respectful. You call me senior? Ha! The old beggar was stunned, and then he laughed hysterically. Ah! The first elder was a little displeased. This beggar was stronger than him. What was wrong with calling him senior? Did he have to smile like this? Your master. At this moment, Lan Ming, who had been observing by the side for a long time, asked uncertainly. His face that had recovered its original appearance was full of question marks. Little Minger, why are you here? When did you come? The old beggar asked in puzzlement. He clearly didn't see Lan Ming just now. Where did Lan Ming come from? You're really my master. Lan Ming was a little speechless. In his memory, his master cared the most about appearance. Why had he become like this now? Nonsense, how can I be fake? The old beggar roared angrily. Boo-hoo. It was one thing that the first elder didn't recognize him, but even his disciple didn't recognize him. Was his current image really that bad? What does my master like to eat the most? Lan Ming still didn't quite believe this beggar and couldn't help asking probingly. Ah. I can't tell you, the old beggar said with an awkward expression. He kept staring at his disciple. Boo-hoo. Stinky little Minger, you're really asking for it. Little Snowy, he should be my master. Lan Ming looked at Leng Ruoxue. What do you mean by should be? I'm your master, the old beggar roared with some dissatisfaction when he heard Lan Ming's words. So this is how your master is. He's really not as famous as he looks. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Lass, don't be mistaken. I'm not like this. I just haven't showered for too long, the old beggar said unpleasantly. Ah. Little Minger was with them, so they should be his disciples' friends. Boo-hoo. He knew that he had embarrassed little Minger. He hoped that this girl was not his future disciple's wife. Otherwise, he would really be too ashamed to see her in the future. His imagination began to run wild. Oh, I understand, Leng Ruoxue said very understandingly. She really didn't expect this beggar to be the master that Lan Ming always mentioned. Ah. Since the president of the Mystic Association headquarters had already emerged from seclusion, there should be nothing for her here. However, she wanted to know who told him that someone came to the Mystic Association headquarters to cause trouble. Hee, it's good that you understand. The old beggar smiled happily. As expected of his disciple's friend, he was so understanding. President, you're out of seclusion. First elder, who finally recovered from his daze, asked in disbelief. Ah. The president's current image was really too unexpected. Chapter 566, I don't just bite anyone, 1, nonsense. How can I stand here if I don't come out of seclusion? The old beggar glared and roared with some displeasure. President, why didn't you take a bath first after coming out of seclusion? If other mystics see you like this, it will damage your image, the first elder reminded. If I didn't hear that someone came to the Mystic Association headquarters to cause trouble and was worried that you couldn't handle it, would I have run over anxiously as soon as I emerged from seclusion? You heartless fellows actually dare to despise me, the old beggar complained with a wronged face, tears seeming to emerge in his deep black eyes. Ah! The first elder didn't know what to say. Boo-hoo! When did he despise the president? How could the president wrong him? First elder, where are the troublemakers? The old beggar asked in puzzlement. He hadn't seen anyone causing trouble even after coming for a long time. Damn it, how dare they lie to him? President, didn't I say that no one is causing trouble? The first elder said helplessly. Ah. But Elder Hao told me that someone will cause trouble. He shouldn't dare to lie to me, right? The old beggar's face was full of question marks. Did Elder Hao tell you? First elder asked while suppressing his anger. No wonder he hadn't seen Elder Hao. He had gone to look for the president. Yes. I happened to meet him when I came out of seclusion. He told me what happened recently and said that someone happened to be here to cause trouble now, so I rushed over, the old beggar explained, his black face full of anger because he didn't expect that Elder Hao would actually dare to lie to him. How ridiculous, this was not deliberately embarrassing him. Master, the people who are causing trouble Elder Hao mentioned should be us, Lan Ming said helplessly. However, he gritted his teeth in hatred for Elder Hao in his heart. Damn Elder Hao, he actually wanted his master to deal with them. He really had ulterior motives. Ah. Little Minger, what happened? The old beggar was confused. However, as the president of the Mystic Association, he still had intelligence. Now, he knew that he had almost been used. Master, this sentence isn't clear either. You should go and freshen up first. I'll tell you later, Lan Ming reminded. Alas. Master's current appearance was really too damaging to his image. Ah. Okay. But where is my room now? The old beggar asked in distress. He didn't expect the headquarters to be destroyed like this after only a few years of seclusion. President, I'll bring you there. The first elder said awkwardly. Alas. It would always end up like this. He really didn't have the face to see the president. Okay, bring me there quickly, the old beggar urged. He really couldn't stand his dirty appearance now. President, please follow me. The first elder brought the old beggar to his temporary room. After the first elder and the old beggar left, Len Ruoxue called Cheng Wu to her side and whispered a few words to him. Then Cheng Wu left the side hall with Song Di and He Zi. Shuer, where did they go? Empty couldn't help asking curiously after Cheng Wu and the others left. To deal with Elder Hao, Len Ruoxue said very calmly. Oh. Empty answered lightly. He was not surprised by Shuer's decision. On the contrary, he would feel that it was abnormal if Shuer let Elder Hao go. Little Snowy, let me out. Suddenly, Icy sent Len Ruoxue a voice transmission. Okay, Len Ruoxue answered. She released Icy from the bracelet with a thought. After Icy emerged, it found a relatively comfortable position in Len Ruoxue's arms and lay down. Its ice blue eyes kept glancing at the elders in the hall with a spurious smile. The expressions of the elders in the side hall became very strange when they saw the puppy that suddenly appeared. Some even revealed fear. Len Ruoxue caressed Icy's soft fur and observed the elders' reactions. She couldn't help being a little helpless about Icy's bad taste. Alas. Little Icy's power was really unparalleled. Look at how scared those elders were the moment it appeared. She really felt some pity for those poor old men now. Why did you let this puppy out? Elder Wang, who was already a little guilty, was so scared that his legs were trembling and his words were a little shaky when he saw Icy. I'm happy. Why? Can't I? Leng Ruoxiu glanced at Elder Wang and said irritably. Hee, don't be afraid. I won't bully you, provided you have to be good. Icy comforted very kindly, its fluffy little face hanging with an amiable smile. Then why did you come out? Elder Wang wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and stammered. Boo-hoo. There was no one in Carefree City who didn't know about the glorious deeds of this puppy. Mystic sovereigns couldn't even last a round in its hands, so he instinctively felt afraid after seeing this puppy. Boo-hoo. The pressure this puppy gave him was really too great. Moreover, he believed that if Leng Ruoxiu revealed this puppy from the start, no one would definitely dare to oppose Lan Ming becoming the acting president of the headquarters. I want to come out for some air. Icy whispered aggrievedly. Tears flashed in its ice-blue eyes as if it was about to cry. Ah. It's good to take a breather. Welcome out for a breather. Elder Lu hurriedly coaxed when he saw this. He kept staring at Elder Wang, who almost made this puppy cry, with his eyes, cursing Elder Wang half to death in his heart. Yes. Coming out to take a breather is good for the body, Elder Wang hurriedly echoed, but he was extremely aggrieved in his heart. Boo-hoo. Why did that puppy love to cry so much? He didn't say anything. However, his mind became much more well-behaved after Icy came out. Yes, I've gained weight, Icy said, very displeased. Alas. It had been eating too well recently, and it had become a little round, so it had to come out to exercise. Otherwise, little Snow probably wouldn't be able to carry it in a few days. Little Icy, don't bite my master. Lan Ming pleaded worriedly because he remembered little Icy saying before that it wanted to bite his master. Chapter 567, I don't just bite anyone, too, depends on my mood. Icy said lightly. Humph. It came out to bite that old man. Otherwise, it would sleep in the space. Little Icy. Icy's tone made Lan Ming very worried. Little Lan, I won't bite him to death for your sake. Don't worry. Icy comforted her. Alas. It was so difficult to do things with acquaintances. It couldn't even bite people to its heart's content. Ah. Lan Ming didn't know what to say. It seemed like little Icy had already made up its mind. Boo-hoo. Master. Take care, pray for yourself. Your disciple has already tried his best. The first elder and the old beggar returned to the side hall while Lan Ming was praying. Master. Lan Ming hurriedly called out when he saw his master in his memory. He secretly winked at his master, wanting him to be careful. However, the old beggar obviously didn't understand his disciple's intentions. Instead, he walked happily to Leng Ruoxiu and the others and said, Hee, I was rude just now. This is the real me. Let me introduce myself again. Im Yu Lin, the president of the Mystic Association headquarters. Leng Ruoxiu. Leng Ruoxiu couldn't help but exclaim in her heart as she looked at the old beggar who had washed up and looked brand new. People really rely on clothes. She didn't expect this old man to be a rare peerless handsome man. Yu Lin looked to be about 40 years old. He was handsome and had an extraordinary bearing. His aura was completely restrained, giving people a very amiable feeling. Miss Leng, I wonder if you and little Minger, Yu Lin asked curiously, the word gossip written on his handsome face. We're friends. Leng Ruoxiu said speechlessly. Alas. Could this old man have any thoughts? It was best not to. Otherwise, his outcome would be tragic. Oh, just friends? Yu Lin asked stubbornly. Yes, maybe not even friends. Leng Ruoxiu held the freak's arm and said lightly. Ah. That's too bad. Yu Lin's face was full of pity. Master. Lan Ming glared at his master with great dissatisfaction. Alas! When could his master have some foresight? He was really very helpless against his master's dullness. Why are you so loud? I'm not deaf. Yulin complained. Ah. Little Snowy, don't mind. My master likes to joke. Lan Ming ignored his master's complaint and looked at Len Ruoxue and the freak apologetically. It's okay. Len Ruoxue said with a light smile, her beautiful eyes looking at the freak comfortingly. Ah. She didn't want the freak to fly into a rage. Are you the president of the Mystic Association headquarters? Icy asked lazily in Len Ruoxue's arms in order to ease the slightly awkward atmosphere, its ice blue eyes staring at Yulin. Yes, I am, Yulin replied honestly, even though he didn't know why the puppy in front of him was asking him this. Hee, I just want to confirm. Icy smiled maliciously. Then it opened its little mouth and bit Yulin's arm fiercely. Aha! Immediately, a heartbreaking scream spread through the entire side hall. The elders in the side hall looked at the puppy, which was biting the president's arm, in horror, and couldn't help but break out in cold sweat. Compared to the reactions of the elders, Len Ruoxue and the others were much calmer. They watched this scene coldly, and no one spoke. After Yulin was bitten, he kept shaking his arm, wanting to shake the puppy off his arm. However, Icy didn't move at all. It only jumped away from the bloody arm after it had bitten enough. Icy returned to Len Ruoxue's arms after biting her. It even closed its eyes to pretend to be asleep, as if everything that happened just now had nothing to do with it. Len Ruoxue looked at Yulin's mangled arm and then at the composed Icy. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down her forehead. Ah! Little Icy was really ruthless. Fortunately, the body of the Mystic Supremacy was sturdy enough. Otherwise, this arm would have been bitten off if it were anyone else. Master, are you okay? Lan Ming looked at the injury on his master's arm and hurriedly handed him a pill and asked worriedly. Boo-hoo. Poor master. Little Icy's bite was really ruthless. You'll know if I'm okay after being bitten like this. Yulin took the pill and threw it directly into his mouth. He said angrily, his eyes staring at Len Ruoxue pitifully, and he was even more resentful in his heart. Boo-hoo. Why didn't this dog tie itself up a little? How could it jump out and bite anyone casually? He didn't know if this dog was sick or not. Boo-hoo. Should he take an injection? His imagination began to run wild again. Master, I'm not the one who bit you. Lan Ming murmured aggrievedly and looked at Len Ruoxue resentfully. Len Ruoxue turned her head to the side, ignoring the pitiful gazes of the master and disciple. Miss Leng, your dog bit me. Tell me what to do. Yulin could only say bluntly, seeing Len Ruoxue not react under his gaze. Oh. Len Ruoxue answered lightly without any other reaction. That's it. Your dog bit me. Yulin said in disbelief. I know. You said it. Len Ruoxue pretended to be stupid. Don't you have anything to say since you know? Your dog bit me. Yulin reminded. Alas. You're too careless. However, my little Icy won't bite just anyone. You must have provoked it. Len Ruoxue said with a face full of regret and irresponsibly pushed the blame to the unlucky Yulin. It's my first time seeing it today. How can I provoke it? Miss Leng, you can't be like this. You have to be responsible for your dog biting me. Yulin expressed very clearly. Humph. You can't pretend to be stupid. He wasn't someone who could be bitten by just anyone. How do you want me to take responsibility? Why don't I let you bite it too so that you can call it even? Len Ruoxue suggested with a smile. Chapter 568, I don't just bite anyone. 3, I don't want to. Yulin objected strongly. Humph. He was a human. How could he go and bite a puppy? If news of this spread, would he still want to survive on the boundless heaven continent in the future? You didn't want it yourself. Don't blame me. Len Ruoxue said with a light smile as if she was relieved. You're shameless. How can you do this? Yu Lin sobbed. Ah. Don't tell me you're going to cry. You were just bitten. Is there a need to? Len Ruoxue said speechlessly. Could Yu Lin not be so childish? Boo-hoo. I was bitten by a dog. It hurts. I wonder if your dog has any illness. Yu Lin said worriedly. Damn it, you're the one who's sick. Biting you is because I think highly of you. I don't bite just anyone. Icy immediately roared furiously when it heard Yu Lin's words. Damn it, it was not a dog. Why did everyone treat it as a dog? Ah. Then don't think too highly of me. My arm was about to be bitten off by you. Yu Lin said speechlessly. Alas. This was the first time he had seen such a cocky dog. This dog was indeed a little different, but it was still a dog no matter how special it was. It was very troublesome to be bitten by a dog. Humph. It'll bite you to death directly if you're not little Lan Lan's master. Icy said fiercely. Ah. Little dog, do I have a grudge with you? I promise I've never eaten dog meat. Yu Lin asked in puzzlement. He really couldn't understand when he had offended this puppy. Look at what the Mystic Association headquarters has become now. Humph. Who asked you to be the president of the headquarters? Who else should I bite but you? Icy said matter-of-factly. In its opinion, this half-old man had to be punished because he couldn't manage the headquarters well. Therefore, he was bitten. The headquarters, Yu Lin was speechless. It seemed like something had happened to the headquarters. Alas. He saw that the headquarters was almost in ruins the moment he emerged. He didn't know what had happened, but the headquarters' current appearance shouldn't have anything to do with him, right? He had been in seclusion. Moreover, no matter what the headquarters became, it had nothing to do with this puppy, right? Why should it bite him? He felt especially aggrieved thinking of this. The headquarters is in this state now. As the president of the headquarters, you can't escape the blame, so don't think that you have nothing to do with it just because you're in seclusion. Humph. Would the headquarters have become like this if you didn't have poor judgment of people? Icy saw through Yu Lin's thoughts and said coldly. Can any of you tell me what exactly is going on? Yu Lin frowned and asked the elders in the hall with some displeasure when he heard Icy's words. Alas. This puppy's words made him a little ashamed. Yes. He might be in seclusion, but no matter what happened in the headquarters, he couldn't shirk the responsibility as the president of the headquarters. It seemed like he was really going back farther and farther as he lived. He was actually inferior to a puppy. He really deserved to be bitten. He didn't suffer this bite for nothing. He understood. The elders looked at each other, not knowing how to say it. Even the first elder lowered his head, not daring to look at Yu Lin. Master, I'll tell you. Lan Ming mustered his courage and said when he saw that none of the elders dared to speak. Alas. Hopefully, the master wouldn't be angry when he knew. One had to know that even though the master was usually polite and refined, no one in the Mystic Association headquarters could withstand it if he really became angry. Okay, little Minger, tell master, Yu Lin said while suppressing his anger. Lan Ming nodded. Then he described in detail everything that had happened in the headquarters during his master's seclusion, as well as what Wugong and the others had done. After hearing Lan Ming's words, Yu Lin's frown became tighter and tighter, and his face became darker and darker. In the end, the elders present didn't even dare to breathe heavily. Len Ruoxue laughed in her heart as she listened to Lan Ming's vivid description. Hee, it seemed that her education of Lan Ming had begun to take effect. Lan Ming had actually learned to add oil to the fire. Moreover, he had even told her master about Wugong's gossip scandal, ha. Damn it, where's Wugong? Elder Wang, get Wugong here. Yu Lin ordered furiously after hearing his disciple's statement. Ah. President, Vice President Wu is missing. It's said that she eloped with someone. Elder Wang whispered fearfully. Boo-hoo. He realized that after the president emerged from seclusion this time, his aura had become stronger than before, so he had no choice but to behave. Elope? Who did he elope with? Would anyone want that old thing? Yu Lin said with slight mockery. Probably with Madame Sunday. Elder Wang wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said ingratiatingly. Ah. Which Madame Sun? Yu Lin was stunned and didn't react for a moment. She's the wife of the acting patriarch of the Sun family, Elder Wang explained carefully. Boo-hoo. This was a secret that couldn't be revealed by the super families. Why did it have to come out of his mouth? Ha, that old man Wugong is really too useless. He's still thinking about that old woman. Yu Lin said with a mocking smile on his face. He thought Wugong had a new lover when Lan Ming told him just now. He really didn't expect it to be that old woman. Alas. It seemed that Wugong was really hopeless. However, would that old woman really abandon Madame Sun's noble status and elope with Wugong? He was a little skeptical. Ah. Several black lines couldn't help but slide down the elders' foreheads, and they couldn't help but grumble in their hearts in unison. President. Don't say these shameful things. The Mystic Association headquarters would become a laughing stock if news of it spread. Elder Wang, send a letter to the patriarch of the Sun family. Tell him that his wife abducted the vice president of our Mystic Association and asked him to return her. Yu Lin said, wanting to see the world burn. His handsome face was full of gloating smiles. Humph. Wugong had done so many good things for the Mystic Association and bullied his disciple. He couldn't let that adulterous couple be too carefree. President, this isn't too good, right? This concerns Vice President Wu's reputation, right? Cold sweat rolled down Elder Wang's forehead as he wanted to cry but had no tears. Boo-hoo. Why did the president capture him as an able-bodied man? Why didn't he think of him for a good thing? He was so depressed. Chapter 569, I don't just bite anyone, for, what's Vice President Wu's reputation? I'm doing this for the reputation of our headquarters, so I have to capture Wugong and punish him. Yu Lin said with determination. Humph. Wugong caused so much trouble while he was in seclusion and caused him to be bitten by a dog. He had to find that damn Wugong to settle this score. President, Elder Wang called out softly, still wanting to make a final struggle. Why aren't you going yet? Yu Lin glared at Elder Wang and asked with displeasure with a dark handsome face. I don't dare to go myself, Elder Wang sobbed spinelessly. He could already foresee that he would definitely be skinned alive by the acting patriarch of the Sun family if he went to the Sun family alone. Look at your bear-like appearance. You are an elder of our Mystic Association. That green-furred turtle from the Sun family won't dare to do anything to you. At most, he will give you a good beating, so there's no need to be afraid. Go ahead boldly. Yu Lin encouraged nonchalantly. However, he didn't think so in his heart. In fact, he couldn't wait for that long-furred turtle from the Sun family to kill Elder Wang. As for why? Hee. It could only be understood but not explained. President, I really don't dare to go alone. Boo-hoo, Elder Wang cried as he spoke. People who didn't know would definitely think that he had been bullied by others with that pitiful appearance. Oh, this isn't easy to deal with. Yu Lin frowned, his handsome face full of difficulties. Elder Wang, how about this? Go ask those elders yourself and see if any of them are willing to accompany you. I won't stop them if any of them want to go. However, I can't force them if no one is willing to accompany you to the Sun family, right? Yu Lin continued after thinking for a while. Moreover, what he said implied that he was a good and understanding president who wouldn't force others. Or not. Elder Wang was resentful. You said you won't force them, so why must you force me to go? Boo-hoo. This is obviously contradictory. Moreover, he couldn't understand either. Didn't the president just come out of seclusion? He shouldn't have any leverage against the president. Why did the president scheme against him like this? With this in mind, he stole a glance at Yulin and then turned his gaze to the other elders. After seeing his inquisitive gaze, all the elders present turned their heads to the other side in unison, ignoring his plea for help. Anyway, the president said that he would not force them to accompany the unlucky elder Wang to the Sun family, so they were not afraid. However, everyone was working together after all, so it was not good to be too stiff. Therefore, pretending to be muddle-headed was the best choice. Elder Chen, come with me. Elder Wang could only name names when he saw that everyone ignored him. Humph. Don't you want to hide, you ungrateful things? I won't let you have your way, so the first person he called was also the elder who usually had the best relationship with him. Elder Wang, I really want to accompany you, but I'm really sorry. It's inconvenient for me to travel these few days. Otherwise, it will bring you disaster. Elder Chen, whose name was mentioned, had a troubled expression on his old face. Boo-hoo. Going to the Sun family was not a good job. It was difficult to say if he could return alive. How could he be willing to accompany Elder Wang, who was despised by the president, to his death? It's okay. I don't mind, Elder Wang said through gritted teeth. Humph. Praising their usually good relationship, but Elder Chen actually didn't give him face. He hated it. But I mind. It's fine if anything happens to me alone. I'll feel guilty for life if I implicate you, Elder Chen said hurriedly. Hee, Elder Wang, don't force Elder Chen since it's inconvenient. Ask the other elders. Perhaps someone will be willing to accompany you. Yulin spoke before Elder Wang. His words made the extremely unwilling Elder Chen heave a huge sigh of relief, but it made Elder Wang extremely depressed. Elder Lu, accompany me. Elder Wang saw that he could not count on the elders who were usually on good terms with him, so he could only seek help from the elders who were not on good terms with him, hoping that there would be a righteous person among them willing to accompany him to the Sun family. However, his wishful thinking was wrong because Elder Lu ignored him at all. Instead, he closed his eyes and pretended to sleep. Elder Wang was so angry that he almost vomited blood seeing this situation. Elder Wang, looks like you're the only one who can deliver the letter. Yulin said helplessly. Alas. In fact, he sympathized with Elder Wang because in his opinion, no one was willing to face difficulties with him because Elder Wang's social relations were too poor. Alas. Alright, I'll set off for the Sun family tomorrow. Elder Wang braced himself. In fact, his heart was bleeding. Don't wait for tomorrow. You can set off now, Yulin urged anxiously. Ah. President, it's getting late. If I set off now, I'll have to sleep on the streets tonight, Elder Wang reminded. Boo-hoo. He really didn't know how he had offended the president, why he was so impatient to chase him away. Oh, then stay for the night and set off tomorrow morning. Yulin looked at the sky. Yes, then I'll take my leave and rest first, Elder Wang said, wanting to cry but had no tears. Alas. He didn't dare to stay any longer. Otherwise, he didn't know what the president would think of to mess with him again. Therefore, it was better to disappear in front of the president as soon as possible. Okay, first elder, go and rest too. Yulin nodded and said to the first elder and the others. President, we'll take our leave first. The first elder bowed slightly and left the side hall with the elders after speaking. Len Ruoxua looked at Yulin openly when she saw that the elders of the Mystic Association headquarters had left. To be honest, she originally thought that Yulin was an old man out of line. However, Yulin's performance just now showed her his scheming and protective side. Alas. It seemed like he was another old man who liked to pretend. Lass, you'll be embarrassed if you look at me so intently. Yulin said shamelessly when he felt Len Ruoxua's inquisitive gaze, his handsome face even revealing a shy expression. Chapter 570, Yulin became the target of the two hairy beasts. 1. Leng Ruoxue was sweating profusely. She retracted her evaluation of Yulin. This fellow was an old man who disconnected frequently and was occasionally normal. Old man, I'm not looking at you attentively. Don't flatter yourself, Leng Ruoxue said speechlessly. Alas! Why was this old man so familiar with himself? He was Miss Leng previously. He had become a little girl now. What did you call me? Old. Old man. Am I that old? Yulin was a little angry when he heard Leng Ruoxue call him that. His eyes were full of accusation as he looked at her with tears in them. You might look very young, but you're already an old man. Leng Ruoxue said with certainty. We don't care about age, only appearance, Yulin said shamelessly. Boo-hoo. He was determined not to be called an old man. Otherwise, he would have maintained himself so well for nothing. Old fart, don't embarrass yourself because of your old age. I'm blushing for you, the little old man scolded helplessly. Ah. Why are you here, old thing? When did you come? Yulin said in surprise. He didn't see this fellow just now. This was a genuine old man. It's not your fault that your eyesight isn't good, the little old man said with a spurious smile. Humph. He had known Yulin for more than a day or two, so he knew his shortcomings very well. Yulin often couldn't see others unless that person took the initiative to talk to him. Ah. Hee hee. Hee hee. Yulin laughed dryly, trying to hide his embarrassment. Humph. The little old man snorted and ignored Yulin. Lass, he's the old man. I'm different from him, so don't call me old man. You'll call me old do. Yulin said to Leng Ruoxue very seriously, seeing that the little old man was ignoring him. But you're also an old man in my eyes, Leng Ruoxue said stubbornly. Lass, Yulin wanted to say something but was interrupted by Leng Ruoxue. Grandpa do, empty, let's go. Leng Ruoxue looked at the people around her. With that, she stood up and pulled the freak out of the side hall, and the little old man and the others naturally followed closely behind. Lass! Yulin hurriedly shouted from behind, seeing Leng Ruoxue leave. However, he didn't receive any response. Master, stop shouting. Rest early today. Lan Ming also left behind Leng Ruoxue and the others after speaking. Leng Ruoxue and the others returned to the Carefree Hall after leaving the Mystic Association. After returning to her room, Leng Ruoxue brought the freak and empty into the bracelet. Big sister. Qing Ju appeared in front of Leng Ruoxue and the others. Qing Ju, what are they doing? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help asking curiously when she saw her beasts gathered together. Ah. Big Harry and Second Harry suffered a blow, so everyone is comforting them, Qing Ju explained. What setback did they suffer? Leng Ruoxue and the others' faces were full of question marks. No one should be able to bully the two bears if they stayed in the space. Moreover, they were transcendent divine beasts and were powerful. People who wanted to bully them had to think twice. The president of the Mystic Association headquarters said that Elder Wang looked like a bear just now, so they were unhappy, Qing Ju said speechlessly. Alas! These two bears were still sentimental. Aren't we talking about Elder Wang? What does it have to do with them? Leng Ruoxue asked in puzzlement. They think that the president is calling them stupid. Qing Ju said, his pink face full of helplessness. Ah! Leng Ruoxue was also speechless. Were Big Harry and Little Harry thinking too much? What Yulin scolded Elder Wang really had nothing to do with them. Hee hee, Schwer, your beast is quite interesting, Empty said with a chuckle. They're not my beasts. They're old man Zao, Leng Ruoxue reminded. Alas! She really didn't know who these two beasts took after. Why were they so suicidal? Aren't they in your space? They are yours, Empty said matter-of-factly. In fact, In his opinion, those beasts were equivalent to her even if they didn't contract with Schwer, just like his Icy. If Schwer encountered danger, Icy would take the initiative to help her without his orders. You mean little Icy is mine too? Len Ruoxua looked at the puppy sleeping soundly in her arms and deliberately distorted Empty's words. Pretty much. Icy spent more time with you than with me. Empty reminded, his tone slightly complaining. Empty, are you jealous? Len Ruoxua asked in realization. I'm not, Empty quickly denied. How could he be jealous of Schwer? Ah. It was a little. But he wouldn't admit it. Let's go see Big Harry and Little Harry. Len Ruoxua couldn't be bothered to expose him and said to the Freak and Empty. Okay. The two of them nodded slightly and followed Len Ruoxua to the place where the beasts were gathered. Big Harry, Little Harry. Len Ruoxua called out softly. Miss. The two beasts raised their fluffy heads and looked at Len Ruoxua with tears in its black eyes. They called her Miss just like Len Ruoxua's subordinates because they were not Len Ruoxua's beasts. Ah. Why are you crying? Who bullied you? Tell me, I'll teach them a lesson. Len Ruoxua said knowingly to the advisor, but she couldn't help sighing in her heart. Alas. Look at these 2 cents, as if they had suffered a lot. Was it that serious? Miss, we are really not so stupid, nor are we so timid and incompetent. Therefore, can you humans not bring us bears along when cursing? We are very aggrieved. Big Harry complained with a long face. Ah. Big Harry. In fact, this really has nothing to do with you, so don't think too much. Be good. Len Ruoxua coaxed helplessly. You humans often hurt the self-esteem of us beasts. When you scold others, you are either talking about pigs or bears. Boo-hoo. We just look a little clumsy. In fact, we are not stupid at all. Tell me, how did we provoke you? Why are you making things difficult for us? Big Harry was aggrieved, very aggrieved because it often hurt itself being scolded innocently in Myriad Mountain City. However, its reaction at that time was not as big as it was now. However, it knew that beasts also needed self-esteem and self-love after hanging out with Len Ruoxua's beasts. They could not be bullied and scolded by others. Therefore, it was angry. If it hadn't been stopped by the other beasts just now, it and Second Harry wanted to go and teach that president a lesson. Chapter 571, Yulin became the target of the 2 hairy beasts, too. Big Harry, I'll apologize to you on Yulin's behalf, okay? He really didn't do it on purpose. Len Ruoxua caressed Big Harry's head. Miss, I want to teach him a lesson personally. Big Harry pleaded. It knew that this person was Lan Ming's master, so it didn't want to make things difficult for Miss. Big Harry, Yulin is a mystic supremacy. Len Ruoxua reminded him. Alas. Big Harry's defense might be very powerful, but his strength was still inferior to a mystic supremacy, so she was very afraid that Big Harry would not be calm. Miss, I know. I'll join forces with Little Harry to teach him a lesson. Big Harry scratched its big head. Hee, it was not so stupid to deal with a mystic supremacy by itself. Little Harry and it were level 4 transcendent divine beasts, and their strength was equivalent to a human mystic sovereign. With their powerful defense, they might not necessarily be able to defeat a mystic supremacy, but it would not be a problem to teach him a lesson. Alright. However, I don't want you to be injured. Len Ruoxua said very cautiously. Yes, we will be careful. Big Harry promised. With Miss' consent, it could teach that old man a lesson freely. Hee. Alas. Poor Yulin. Empty whispered with a light smile, his handsome face full of gloating. You seem very happy. Len Ruoxua said in realization. The 3 of them sat down on the stone chair in front of the purple bamboo hut after persuading Len Mao. Of course I'm happy, but I'm afraid someone won't be happy. First he was bitten by a dog, and then he was beaten by a bear. Alas! Poor fellow. Empty said sympathetically, but there was no sympathy in his tone. Master, I'm not a dog. Icy, which had been closing its eyes, suddenly opened its ice-blue eyes and said with slight dissatisfaction. Boo-hoo. Master was too evil. He actually called it a dog. Hee, Icy, your transmogrification looks like a puppy. Empty smiled nonchalantly. Then I won't transmogrify anymore. Icy roared furiously. It was really infuriating. That won't do. Little Icy, if you don't change your appearance, I won't be able to bring you out in the future, Len Ruoxue reminded helplessly. Boo-hoo. I don't want to be treated as a dog. Icy looked at Len Ruoxue with tears in its blue eyes and said aggrievedly. Little Icy, calm down. Just ignore those people with poor judgment. Why fuss about it with them? It's beneath your dignity. Len Ruoxue coaxed. Yes, little Snowy is right. I'll bite whoever calls me a dog in the future. Icy said as if it had made a big decision. Ah! 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Len Ruoxue's forehead. That was really not what she meant. Hee, Schwer, it's getting late. Let's rest early. The freak smiled gently at Len Ruoxue. Okay. Len Ruoxue hurriedly nodded. Then she placed the Icy on the stone table, pulled the freak away, and left. She didn't dare to continue chatting. Otherwise, she was really afraid that all her beasts would become violent beasts. Why did little Snowy slip away so quickly? I'm not done yet. Icy murmured to itself in puzzlement after seeing Len Ruoxue and the freak leave. Icy, do you really intend to bite whoever you see in the future? Empty asked curiously. Hee, then he would really become a mad dog. Master, when did I say I'll bite whoever I see? I mean, I'll bite whoever calls me a puppy. Icy corrected. Boo-hoo. Master is a baddie. Hee, Icy, the dog that bites isn't a good dog. Empty said fearlessly. Master. Icy roared uncontrollably. Its big ice-blue eyes glared fiercely at Empty. Moreover, a layer of tears actually welled up in its eyes as it glared. Ah! Icy, I'm going to rest too. Seeing that Icy was crying, Empty hurriedly escaped. Hee. Icy couldn't help revealing a smug smile seeing that its master was scared away. The tears in its blue eyes had long disappeared. Little dog, you're quite good at acting. White Dawn appeared out of nowhere and jumped onto the stone table with slight provocation. Kitten, what do you know? This is called wisdom. Icy said nonchalantly, its face full of pride. It's not good to bully your master. White Dawn reminded. It's okay. My master is used to being bullied by me, Icy said shamelessly. Alas. Your master is so pitiful. White Dawn said with a sympathetic face. It was also very important for the master to find a better beast. Kitten, outsiders won't understand the way I interact with master. Icy closed its eyes and said nostalgically. Little dog, continue bullying your master. I'm going to bed. White Dawn jumped off the stone table and returned to its room. Alas. It's also painful not to be understood by beasts. Icy sighed and then fell asleep. The next day, Len Ruoxue and the freak went directly to the living room after leaving the bracelet. Little Snowy, you're up. Lan Ming hurriedly greeted Len Ruoxue and the freak when he saw them. Lass, you really can sleep. It's almost noon, Yulin complained as he sat beside Lan Ming. Did President Yu specially look for us? Len Ruoxue asked very politely. However, she couldn't help but grumble in her heart. Humph. What does it have to do with you whether we can sleep or not? We didn't ask you to wait here. Of course, little girl. Thank you for taking care of my disciple during this period of time. Also, You called me old man yesterday. Why are you calling me President Yu again today? Yu Lin pretended to be displeased. Old man still sounded more friendly. Yesterday was yesterday, and now is different. Moreover, you don't have to be so polite. In fact, we didn't take care of him much. He has to pay for his food and lodging, Leng Ruoxue said honestly. At the same time, she became alert because she felt that there seemed to be a hidden meaning in Yu Lin's words. Ah. Could there be a trap? Lass, I'm not being polite. You took good care of me even if I paid. Yu Lin said with a smile. Chapter 572, Yu Lin became the target of the two hairy beasts. 3. President Yu, since you've emerged from seclusion, we have nothing to do here. We intend to leave Carefree City tomorrow, Leng Ruoxue said bluntly. They had just discussed this in the morning. Leave? Lass, how can it compare to Carefree City? Why don't you stay in Carefree City? This is the holy land in the hearts of mystics. Moreover, not just any mystic can settle in Carefree City, Yu Lin coaxed, his expression like a big gray wolf that was deceiving Little Red Riding Hood. Thank you for your good intentions, President Yu. We already have a place to stay. Moreover, we won't stay in the same place for too long, Leng Ruoxue said. She didn't know Yu Lin's intentions, but she didn't intend to let him have his way no matter what he thought. Little girl, are you talking about Myriad Mountain City? To be honest, how is it very chaotic? How can it compare to Carefree City? Yu Lin persuaded stubbornly. In fact, he naturally had his reasons for wanting Leng Ruoxue and the others to stay. Alas! The situation of the Mystic Association headquarters was very bad now, so he really hoped that Leng Ruoxue could stay in Carefree City. Who asked her subordinates to have so many powerful mystic sovereigns? He didn't want Leng Ruoxue's power to be possessed by any family. Leng Ruoxue didn't intend to rely on any family according to Little Minger, but he couldn't be completely at ease if he couldn't leave them in Carefree City. We don't intend to stay in Myriad Mountain City for long either, Leng Ruoxue said calmly. Lass, where do you intend to stay? Tell me, I can help you find a suitable residence, Yu Lin asked expectantly. We don't intend to stay in any place for long, Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. She was very helpless against Yu Lin's stubbornness. Alas! She could finally tell that Yu Lin was determined to rope them in. Lass, no matter where you want to go to train, you have to have a fixed residence. This way, if you're tired in the future, you'll have a place to rest. You have to know that the feeling of home and inn is different. Yu Lin Xiao said with affection. Yes, President Yu is right, Leng Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Alas! Yu Lin might be right, but she had the dry kun bracelet, so it was the same wherever they were. They might not stay even if they had a fixed residence. At most, it was to fool others. Hee, in that case, I'll arrange a residence for you in Carefree City. In this way, you won't have to stay in an inn when you come to Carefree City in the future. Yu Lin said very warmly. All right then. Leng Ruoxue answered reluctantly. Alas, it seemed that Yu Lin would not give up if she didn't agree. Hee, then come with me quickly. I'll bring you to your residence now. Yu Lin stood up and said impatiently. Ah! So soon? Leng Ruoxue was speechless. She didn't expect Yu Lin to be so impatient. I've already prepared. Just come with me to take a look, Yu Lin said happily. Hee, the place he arranged for Leng Ruoxue and the others belonged to the Mystic Association headquarters. They didn't have to look for it on the spot, so how could it not be fast? Okay, let's go. Leng Ruoxue and the freak's eyes met, and they both saw helplessness on each other's faces. Alas! The two of them sighed softly, then stood up reluctantly and left the carefree hall with Yu Lin. Little Snowy, I'm so sorry. My master made things difficult for you, Lan Ming, who was following Leng Ruoxue and the freak, said shyly on the way. It's okay. It's just a residence. We can't refuse your master's good intentions for your sake. Leng Ruoxue said understandingly. In fact, she really didn't care much. Anyway, whether they stayed or not was up to her. Yu Lin couldn't force them to stay. Thank you. Lan Ming said softly. Little Lan Lan, Big Harry and Little Harry intend to teach your master a lesson, Leng Ruoxue said after some hesitation. She felt that Lan Ming should be mentally prepared so that his heart wouldn't ache when he saw his master getting beaten up later. At the same time, she told Lan Ming not to interfere in this matter. Ah. Why? My master shouldn't have offended them, right? Lan Ming asked in puzzlement. He really couldn't understand why his master was targeted by those two bears when he had just emerged from seclusion. Alas! Poor master, what bad luck did you have? Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Leng Ruoxue said sympathetically and didn't tell Lan Ming the whole story. Lan Ming was very speechless after hearing it because he felt that his master was really too unlucky. This was simply an undeserved calamity. Little Snowy, can you let those two fur claws show mercy? Lan Ming pleaded. Boo-hoo. He was really afraid that those two bears would beat his master up too badly. Little Lan Lan, your master will definitely be angered to death if he hears you say this. He's a mystic supremacy. How can you not have confidence in him? This is called boosting his beastly aspirations to destroy his master's prestige. Leng Ruoxue said in disapproval. In fact, she was looking forward to the battle between the two hairy beasts and Yu Lin. Hee hee. What are you talking about? Why are you walking so slowly? Yu Lin couldn't help asking curiously when he saw Leng Ruoxue and the others walking slowly behind and even chatting as they walked. Nothing. Just chatting. How far are we? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help asking. Where did this Yu Lin want to bring them? They seem to have walked far away. We're almost there, just ahead, Yu Lin said mysteriously. Master, Lan Ming looked at Yu Lin and hesitated. Boo-hoo. He really wanted to remind his master. However, he was afraid that little Snowy would be unhappy. It seemed like little Snowy also wanted his master to be taught a lesson. Alas. Master, it's not that I don't want to help you. I'm really helpless. Little Minger, what do you want to say? Why are you stuttering? Yu Lin asked in puzzlement, his handsome face full of question marks. Nothing. I just want to tell the master that I miss you a lot. He gave in seeing Leng Ruoxue's glare. Boo-hoo. Master, little Snowy's abuse of power is really too powerful. I'm afraid of my disciple. Chapter 573, Is this considered a duel? 1. Little Minger, you don't have to tell Master about this. Master understands your intentions. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Yu Lin's forehead as he said unnaturally. He couldn't understand why his disciple was so mushy today. Master, you have to take care of your body. Lan Ming said very implicitly. Alas. Hopefully, Master could understand his hint. Don't worry, Master will definitely take care of his body, Yu Lin said in puzzlement, his handsome face full of confusion. Clearly, he didn't understand Lan Ming's hint. Leng Ruoxue was secretly amused as she listened to the conversation between the master and disciple. Ha! Little Lan Lan was so gullible. He actually really thought that she didn't allow him to tell her that he wanted to find Yu Lin for a duel. In fact, she didn't glare at him at all because of this, hee hee. You two really have a deep master-disciple relationship. Leng Ruoxue said with slight envy. Of course. I raised little Minger single-handedly. Yu Lin said proudly. Ah. Seems like you're not young anymore, Leng Ruoxue said in realization. Lass, I told you, it only depends on appearance, not age, Yu Lin protested. Boo-hoo. This girl was too evil. How could she specially sprinkle salt on his wounds? Age was his fatal injury. How can that do? If my grandfather finds out, he will blame me for not respecting my elders. Ah. You should be older than my grandfather, right? Len Ruoxue guessed. A beautiful smile hung on her face, and her beautiful eyes swirled as she sized up Yulin non-stop. It's okay. I don't mind. Don't call me grandpa. Just call me big brother, Yulin said fearfully. In your dreams. You're from the grandfather generation. Big brother. How shameless. The freak was displeased before Len Ruoxue could say anything. Ha! Len Ruoxue couldn't help laughing lightly when she heard the freak's words. Ah! Yulin was indeed quite thick-skinned. Swear, let's ignore this disrespectful old man. The freak hugged Len Ruoxue's slender waist and said affectionately. Okay. Len Ruoxue was very cooperative. Little Minger, they're bullying me. Yulin couldn't help complaining to his disciple as he watched them sing. Ah! Master, lead the way quickly. Lan Ming said helplessly. Several black lines involuntarily rolled down his forehead. In fact, he also felt that his master's skin was quite thick. But there was nothing he could do. After all, his master cared the most when others mentioned his age. Well, be there after taking a turn, Yulin said with displeasure. Yulin was depressed. He led the way with his head lowered, and Len Ruoxue and the others followed behind him, laughing secretly in their hearts. We're here. This is it. A few minutes later, Yulin pointed at a tall mansion and said to Len Ruoxue and the others. Master, this place is not bad. How did you find this place? Lan Ming asked with a face full of surprise. At the same time, he was a little puzzled in his heart. When did Master become so efficient? He actually found such a good house in just one night. One had to know that such a property was absolutely considered to be at an astronomical price in Carefree City. Moreover, it might not be possible to buy it even if one had money. Nonsense. Of course this place is good. This is the property of our mystic association. Yulin roared angrily. Humph. He was still angry. Is this the business of the Mystic Association headquarters? I thought the businesses of the headquarters were all tattered. Len Ruoxue teased with a light smile. After all, the business of the headquarters where Wugong lived after she blew up the Mystic Association headquarters was an empty yard that had been abandoned for many years. How is that possible? We will always stand tall in the boundless heaven continent for thousands of years. There are many good things. Yulin's proud tail was about to curl into the sky when he said this. Oh, what about Wugong's yard? Len Ruoxue asked curiously. Wugong is only the vice president. There are many things he doesn't know about the headquarters. As for the yard he lives in, it belongs to the public property of the Mystic Association headquarters. Everyone knows, but only the president is qualified to know about the hidden property, Yulin explained with a smug face. Humph. If Wugong thought that just because he stirred up trouble, he could take over the headquarters, then he was mistaken. There were many things he didn't know about the headquarters. Even if he became the president, he couldn't really control the headquarters. This was the main reason why he handed the headquarters to Wugong and entered seclusion at ease. However, he didn't expect him to underestimate Wugong's energy. The current situation of the headquarters was worse than he imagined. Therefore, he urgently wanted Len Ruoxue and the others to stay in the headquarters because the headquarters desperately needed talents now. Little Lan Lan, did you hear that? Len Ruoxue asked Lan Ming after hearing Yulin's explanation. Ah. I heard it, Lan Ming answered without being puzzled. So what if he heard it? This had nothing to do with him. Then you have to work hard to become the president. Len Ruoxue said bluntly. Alas. She knew from little Lan Lan's expression that Lan Ming didn't understand her at all. Master has already emerged from seclusion. I don't have to represent the headquarters anymore. Lan Ming said happily. He would wake up laughing even in his dreams thinking of this. Little Lon Lon, he can't be the president for life, so it will be you sooner or later, Leng Ruoxue said with certainty. Lass, I might not hand the headquarters to little Minger, okay? Yulin couldn't help but say. Little Minger was very outstanding, but he had a more suitable candidate now. Then who do you want to hand it to? Leng Ruoxue glared at Yulin with some dissatisfaction and asked. She didn't think anyone was more suitable than Lan Ming to be the president of the headquarters. It's a secret. Yulin smiled mysteriously, whetting everyone's appetite. Damn old man, you're keeping me in suspense. Don't tell me you really want to be the president of the headquarters for the rest of your life? Leng Ruoxue said doubtfully. Of course not. If the person I fancy is willing to take over the headquarters immediately, I'll pass the position of president to him now. However, I'm afraid he won't. Yulin said gloomily, his handsome face full of worry. You really have a candidate? Leng Ruoxue said doubtfully. Ah. She thought Yulin was lying to her just now. It seemed like he really had a successor. But who would be more suitable than little Lon Lon? Chapter 574, Is this considered a duel? 2, yes, but he won't agree now, so my journey to seek talents is still very long. Yulin said pitifully with a long face. Since that person refuses, don't force him. Let little Lon Lon be your successor. Leng Ruoxue suggested. Little Snowy, I don't want to, Lan Ming whispered. He looked like a wronged little wife. Lass, you heard it. Little Minger refuses. Yulin sighed. Little Lon Lon, didn't we agree? Leng Ruoxue glared at Lan Ming and said threateningly. That's because Master hasn't emerged from seclusion. That's why I agreed. But now that Master has emerged from seclusion, there's nothing for me to do. Lan Ming said matter-of-factly. Lass, don't force little Minger since he refuses. Come, I'll bring you in to take a look at the yard. Yulin helped his disciple out of the predicament. Okay. Leng Ruoxue was helpless. It seemed like she was being nosy. Yulin led the way and led Leng Ruoxue and the others into the yard. Lass, are you satisfied here? Yulin said as if he was presenting a treasure in the yard. This was the best location and environment among all the properties in the headquarters. Not bad. Leng Ruoxue looked up at the spacious yard and nodded with satisfaction. This yard was very big and was the yard of the yard. The pavilions were exquisite and gorgeous. Moreover, there was a clear stream in the yard that ran through the entire yard. It might not be as good as the Lan family's yard, but Leng Ruoxue believed that this yard was absolutely 1-2 in Carefree City. Lass, this yard will belong to you from now on. This is the property deed. Keep it safe. Yulin handed the deed to Leng Ruoxue and reminded her. Thank you. Leng Ruoxue thanked him and then stored the deed in the bracelet. There's no need to be polite. We're family from now on, Yulin said happily. What do you mean? Leng Ruoxue was puzzled. Lass, you will be an elder of our mystic association from now on, Yulin announced. Elder? I'm not interested. I'll return this house to you if it can only be owned by an elder. Leng Ruoxue said coldly. She took out the deed and threw it directly to Yulin. Damn old man, how dare you plot against me? Lass, what do you mean? Yulin was a little dumbfounded. Did he say something wrong? He didn't seem to have said anything wrong. Damn old man, do you want to bribe me with just a house? I didn't say I wanted to be an elder of the headquarters. Leng Ruoxue said with great dissatisfaction. She originally thought that Yulin only wanted to rope her in, but now she knew that this old man wanted her to run errands for him. This damn old man's wishful thinking was really too good. However, she would not let him have his wish. Lass, don't be anxious. Listen to me. The elder I'm talking about is just a nominal. You don't have to do anything for the headquarters. Of course, it's another matter if you're willing. Yulin smiled like an old fox. He might not have known this girl for long, but he believed that as long as this girl agreed, even if she was just a nominal elder, she would definitely agree if the headquarters needed her in the future. What he needed to do now was to build a good relationship with this girl. Not only that, being an elder gives you very good treatment every month. Really, believe me, I don't lie to children, Yulin added, the smile on his face looking so pure and innocent. I don't have to do anything for the headquarters. Can't you use the rules of the headquarters to restrain me? Leng Ruoxue asked uncertainly. She was not a child, how could she believe Yulin's words? One had to know that there was no free lunch in the world. No, I promise I won't, Yulin promised. Then what should I, an elder, do? Leng Ruoxue asked doubtfully. Ah. The more Yulin said, the more she couldn't believe him. You don't have to do anything. Just name yourself, Yulin said with a smile, his face full of flattery. Do you want me to be a decoration? Leng Ruoxue narrowed her eyes and said with some displeasure. Humph. This old fox actually didn't tell the truth. Ah. Of course not. You can do whatever you want. Really, I promise, Yulin said very sincerely, so anxious that he was about to cry. Boo-hoo. Why was this girl so difficult to deal with? If it were others, they would probably have agreed impatiently if they knew that there was such a good opportunity. How could they ask and make excuses like her? Can I kill any elder I don't like? Leng Ruoxue asked deliberately. Of course not. Moreover, I will warn all the elders not to provoke you. That should be enough, right? Yulin looked at Leng Ruoxue like a little wife and asked very obediently. Leng Ruoxue was speechless. Did Yulin mean that he could do it in secret? She didn't understand. What benefits would it bring to Yulin if he didn't follow his principles? I'm just a mystic monarch. You really don't have to compromise. Leng Ruoxue was helpless. This was the only word she could think of now. Alas. Why on earth did this old man do it? You might be a mystic monarch now, but you have potential, so you deserve to be an elder of the headquarters, Yulin said pompously. The elders of the headquarters won't agree, Leng Ruoxue said in realization. Those old men had been around for many years and finally became elders. If they knew that she became an elder of the headquarters because the president begged her, they would be so angry. Anyone who dares to object will be expelled from the headquarters. They won't dare to object, Yulin said confidently. Swear, promise him. Empty sent a helpless voice transmission from the bracelet. Alas. He felt uncomfortable seeing Yulin's current appearance. In fact, he knew Yulin's goal very well. However, he also knew that Swear would not agree with that fellow. Empty, I don't like to be restrained. Leng Ruoxue sent a voice transmission. If she really wanted to be an elder of the headquarters, she would directly get Baby to use mind reading to see what Yulin was planning. However, it was precisely because she had no such intentions that she didn't care too much. Chapter 575, Is this considered a duel? 3. Swear, didn't he say that he only wants your name? I think he won't dare to cheat, Empty pleaded for Yulin. Alright then. Leng Ruoxue sighed and answered reluctantly. Little girl, promise me. Yulin couldn't help saying anxiously when he saw Leng Ruoxue not responding for a long time. It's not impossible for me to agree with you, but I have to say the ugly things first. I'm just hanging up. You can't order me to do anything, nor can you use the rules of the headquarters to restrain me. In short, you can't order me around, Leng Ruoxue said without any emotion. No problem. You can do whatever you want as long as you agree to be listed, Yulin said with a smile. As long as you can agree to my condition, I will be an elder of the headquarters from now on. I will of course be a nominee, Lin Ruoxue said with certainty. What she implied was that she would not be an elder if she couldn't do it. Don't worry, I will definitely do it since I promised you. You can still do whatever you want in the future. No one will dare to restrain you, including me. Yu Lin promised very seriously, and he was even more relieved in his heart. Boo-hoo. He finally settled this little girl. It really wasn't easy. At this moment, he still didn't know that Lin Ruoxue agreed because someone said good things for him. That's good. Lin Ruoxue nodded with satisfaction. Hee, little girl, you have to keep this deed. This house is worth a lot of money. Yu Lin handed the deed back to Lin Ruoxue and reminded her again. Yes, where is there a spacious and uninhabited place here? Lin Ruoxue took the deed, nodded slightly, and asked. Since she was already an elder of the headquarters, this house was considered legitimate. There's a mountain not far away. There shouldn't be anyone there. Little girl, what are you doing? Yu Lin asked curiously. You'll know when we get there. Bring us there now. Lin Ruoxue urged. Alas. Little Harry couldn't wait any longer. Okay, follow me. Yu Lin took the initiative to lead the way. After walking for about half an hour, Lin Ruoxue and the others arrived at the foot of a mountain. Lin Ruoxue raised her beautiful eyes and sized up the mountain in front of her. Ah! Could this also be considered a mountain? It was really small. This mountain was about 10 meters tall, and the mountain was lush with greenery. All sorts of trees were planted, and some trees were even covered in red fruits, looking very tempting. Ha, little girl, this place isn't bad, right? This place also belongs to you, Yu Lin said proudly. This is also my territory. Lin Ruoxue asked gloomily. The environment here was very good. Her heart might ache if Two Hair repaired Yu Lin here and destroyed the scenery here. Of course. That house belongs to you in a radius of 50 kilometers. Ha, be happy. Yu Lin said with a smile. Is there anywhere nearby that doesn't belong to me? Lin Ruoxue couldn't help asking. Yes, but it's a little far from here. Yu Lin frowned and said after some thought. Ah. He didn't know what this girl wanted to do, but why did he have a bad premonition? It's okay. Bring us there. Lin Ruoxue summoned the little peacock from the bracelet and said. Boss Master, should I bring you to the place we went last time? The little peacock suggested. It was referring to the place where they had grilled fish last time. There's no need. Just go to the place that this old man mentioned. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Lin Ruoxue's forehead. The place that the little peacock mentioned was very far from Carefree City. Yes, the little peacock answered. After everyone sat on its back, it raised its wings and flew toward the place Yu Lin mentioned. Lass, why does it call you Boss Master? Yu Lin asked in puzzlement after taking off. Because I'm its Boss Master. Lin Ruoxue explained lightly as she leaned in the freak's arms. Ah. Then who is its boss? Yu Lin was a little confused. He felt that his intelligence had fallen sharply when facing this little girl. Its boss is my contract beast. Lin Ruoxue looked at Yu Lin like he was an idiot. Actually, she deliberately didn't say it clearly. Lass, did anyone tell you that you're a waste? Yu Lin couldn't help asking after being speechless for a while. How am I wasting? I'm very frugal. Lin Ruoxue said in disapproval. You're frugal. Lass, this little peacock is a level 4 transcendent divine beast, right? Yu Lin asked. You're a mystic supremacy. Can't you tell? Lin Ruoxue said disdainfully. Of course I can see it. I mean, it's a level 4 transcendent divine beast. Do you know the value of transcendent divine beasts on the boundless heaven continent? Yu Lin said with some envy, jealousy, and hatred. Boo-hoo. This was a transcendent divine beast. It was actually becoming this naughty girl's beast's underling. It was really degrading itself. He really couldn't understand why this transcendent divine beast would do this. At the same time, he was a little curious about the level of Leng Ruoxu's beast. It was actually able to make a level 4 transcendent divine beast willingly be an errand boy. One had to know that transcendent divine beasts above level 4 were very precious. He might be a mystic supremacy and the president of the Mystic Association headquarters, but his beast was only a level 5 transcendent divine beast. Boo-hoo. That was only after he tried his best and finally contracted it. However, a level 4 transcendent divine beast was only an errand boy here. Alas! What a difference! Master, my condolences. Lan Ming comforted Leng Ruoxue before she could answer. Alas! He knew the strength of Little Snowy and the other beasts, so he really couldn't bear to see his master suffer a blow. Little Minger, what do you mean? Why should I be consoled? Yulin asked gloomily. Boo-hoo. Did even his disciple look down on him? We're here. Leng Ruoxu interrupted the conversation between the master and disciple and looked up at the uninhabited valley that Yulin was talking about. This valley was very desolate, the temperature at the bottom of the valley was very low, and the entire valley was not very big. However, it was enough to compete with Yulin. Oh! Yulin looked up to confirm before jumping off the little peacock's back. Chapter 576, Is this considered a duel? 4, you can begin. Leng Ruoxue moved the two hairy beasts out of the bracelet and said to them. Thank you, Mississippi. Big Harry and Little Harry thanked Leng Ruoxue. Then they looked Yulin up and down with a naughty smile. Begin what? Yulin's handsome face was full of confusion, and at the same time, he was a little nervous. Ah! Why were these two mini bears staring at him lustfully? Miss was talking to us. Little Harry explained very kindly. Oh, why do you call her Miss? Isn't she your master? Yulin asked in puzzlement. Ah! How many transcendent divine beasts did this girl have? Both of them were actually at level 4. No. Big Harry said with a naughty smile, its pitch black and bright little eyes staring intently at Yulin. Ah! In fact, it was afraid that Yulin would run away. Oh, please don't look at me with perverted eyes, okay? I'm scared. Yulin suggested fearfully, unable to bear the two bears' gazes. Fuck, do you see our perverted eyes? Big Harry was even angrier when he heard Yulin's words. This annoying human said that others were bear-like yesterday, and today, he said that they were perverted. They were really bullying bears. Humph. If the bear didn't show its might, they would treat it as a panda. I saw it with both eyes. Don't keep staring at me. I'll be shy. Yulin didn't want to be targeted by the beasts because the two little bears looked at him with unfriendly eyes. You're not a female bear. How can we be interested in you? Humph. Don't flatter yourself. Little Harry pouted disdainfully. Then why are you staring at me? Yulin said gloomily. Of course, he knew that he was not a female bear. The two bears didn't have to tell him this fact. Because we want to beat you up. Big Harry transformed back into its original form and threw a huge bear paw at Yulin. Oh my god. Lass, your beast has gone crazy. Yulin hurriedly dodged Big Harry's attack and shouted at Leng Ruoxue. Paw! At the same time, a crisp sound sounded in the spacious valley. Ah! You perverted bear, don't hit my butt. Immediately after, Yulin's scream sounded. Boo-hoo! He dodged Big Harry's attack, but he forgot to guard against the transmogrified bear. Fortunately, that bear was transmogrified, or his butt would definitely be shattered. Humph. I did. So what? Little Harry said shamelessly, its fluffy little face full of pride. You perverted bear. Yulin roared angrily. At the same time, he stared at Leng Ruoxue pitifully. Boo-hoo. These two bears were released by the naughty girl. Would this girl blame him if he injured these two bears? He was a little conflicted. He had spent a lot of effort to obtain Leng Ruoxue from the headquarters. He couldn't let her run away in anger because of these two bears. What should he do? He was in a dilemma. Boo-hoo. Forget it, he should bear with it. He didn't know how he had offended these two little fellows, but he absolutely couldn't ruin the friendship he had with the little girl that he had worked so hard to establish just because of the two bears. Don't look at me. Be careful of your butt. Leng Ruoxue reminded speechlessly. Alas. Little Harry was really evil. You released them. Boo-hoo, Yulin said aggrievedly and kept dodging two Harry's bear paw attacks. They want to duel with you, so I can only fulfill their wish. Leng Ruoxue said innocently. Is this considered a one-on-one? Yulin couldn't help asking. Boo-hoo. How can you bully me like this? It's not like I can't count. Moreover, he only knew today that the pincer attack of the two bears was called a one-on-one. Doesn't it count? Leng Ruoxue's beautiful face was full of doubts. Of course not. One-on-one is considered a one-on-one fight. Yulin was helpless. Boo-hoo. How could this girl pretend to be stupid? It was too much. He had to dodge Lao Harry's attack while he was being willy-nilly. Not only that, he had to take care of everything from top to bottom. Moreover, he didn't dare to fight back because he was afraid that this little girl would be angry if he injured the two bears. Alas. It really wasn't easy for him. A mighty mystic supremacy was actually bullied so badly by others and bears. Boo-hoo. Was there any justice in this world? They're one-on-one. They didn't attack you together. Leng Ruoxue observed carefully and then said with certainty. Hee, little Harry only attacked after Big Harry attacked. This was a one-on-one, right? Can I attack then? Yulin was speechless and couldn't be bothered to quibble anymore. He asked bluntly because he knew that he would definitely be angered to death by this girl if he continued talking. Moreover, he knew today that if the two beasts didn't attack together, it would be considered a one-on-one fight. Boo-hoo. That was obviously a tag team battle. The mystic supremacy would also be exhausted to death if there were more beasts. I didn't say you can't attack. Big Harry and Little Harry want to fight you one-on-one. Wouldn't it be one-sided if you don't attack? That kind of battle won't be good either. Leng Ruoxue said aggrievedly, her expression was very innocent. Damn it, why didn't you say so earlier? Yulin roared angrily. Then his aura suddenly changed, and he directly released his might as a mystic supremacy to sweep at the two hairy beasts. I thought you knew. So you've never been challenged. Leng Ruoxue said in realization. Yulin was so angry that he couldn't say anything. Boo-hoo. This actually became his fault. Thinking of this, he couldn't help vent all his anger on the two bears, directly sending a dazzling stream of mystic energy at the two hairy beasts. Ah! The mystic power of a mystic supremacy was not to be underestimated. Big Harry jumped gently to the side. At the same time, an earth attribute curtain wall appeared in front of the two hairy beasts. When the two hairy beasts saw this, he directly returned to his original form and added another curtain wall in front of the two beasts. Hee, little Yulin, your mystic energy isn't good. You can't even break through our defense. Big Harry provoked mischievously and kept dancing around with a smug expression on his face. Ha! Leng Ruoxue, who was watching the commotion by the side, couldn't help laughing when she heard little Yulin. The freak naturally laughed without giving him face. Only Lan Ming was more reserved. He quietly turned his head and covered his mouth to laugh secretly. Chapter 577, The Main Beasts in Agony, 1, Damn it, don't call me little Yulin. Don't go on the double defense if you dare. Yulin roared angrily. He was even angrier when he saw Ling Ruoxue and the others laughing so happily. Boo-hoo. It was really embarrassing to be called Little Yulin by the two bears. Moreover, were these two bears older than him? Why did they call him Little Yulin? Not only that, they actually used the double defense to provoke him. Humph. It was really unbearable. You're small. Look at your small body. It's not even as thick as one of our legs. Big Harry raised its thick legs in a show of force. Hee, Little Yulin had just reached its knees. That's not because I'm small, it's because you're too big. Yulin was very depressed and quite depressed. Boo-hoo. That girl's bear was really too much of a bully. It actually compared its big thick legs with humans. He didn't believe that there were people who were as big as bears in this world. Little you, so be it. Why be so stubborn? Hurry up and attack. Help me scratch the itch. Little Harry refused to be outdone, looking like it was waiting. Yulin was so angry when he saw two hair wheels provoking him. However, what could he do? The defense of bears was very strong, and they bullied people into having double defense. It would be very difficult to break through the sturdy defense even if he was a mystic supremacy. At this point, he summoned his beasts to help him. Little Yulin, you're a mystic supremacy. You actually used beasts in battle with us. How embarrassing. Big Harry looked at the beast that suddenly appeared, about 5 to 6 meters tall, and said with contempt. That's right. Little Yulin, do you think you can defeat us by getting a little monkey? Little Harry said confidently. You two stupid bears, shut up. Yulin's beast roared furiously. Humph. These two bears were really too much. They actually bullied its master. Miss, this thin monkey is bullying us. The two bears quickly found a backer and looked at Ling Ruoxue aggrievedly when they saw that they had been scolded. Ling Ruoxue was a little speechless. She didn't expect Yulin's beast to be a golden monkey. With her short understanding of Yulin, Yulin should have found a more beautiful and mighty beast. Why did he get himself a monkey? This monkey might be considered pretty, but it was also a monkey. Lass, the battle is only fair now. You can't interfere. Yulin reminded. How could he teach these two bears a lesson if that girl interfered? How is it fair? You are a mystic supremacy, and your beasts are stronger than 20 cents. Why can't I see fairness? Ling Ruoxue said with a calm smile. That's right, what mystic supremacy? It's too embarrassing to find help if you can't beat us. Don't tell others that you're a mystic supremacy in the future. I'm embarrassed for you. Big Harry hurriedly echoed, the contempt on his face becoming stronger and stronger, and he couldn't even be bothered to hide it anymore. Yulin was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. Boo-hoo. Shouldn't bears be simple and honest? Why were these two so sharp-tongued? Miss, we also request for help. Little Harry pleaded with a naughty smile on its fluffy face. Ling Ruoxue was in a dilemma. She couldn't bear to refuse. If she agreed, Yulin would be the unlucky one. She knew very well the means of her beasts. Miss. The two hairy beasts looked at Ling Ruoxue pitifully, its eyes full of pleading. Alas, all right. Ling Ruoxue had no choice but to move Darling and the other beasts out of the bracelet. Beloved master. Darling immediately jumped into Ling Ruoxue's arms and rubbed against her affectionately as soon as it emerged. Then it came to the middle of the field. Ha, is this little fox the helper your two stupid bears found? It's only a level 9 legendary beast. What can it help you with? The golden monkey laughed hysterically and said with a mocking face. Me too. Me too. The dazzling beasts were unwilling to be ignored and reminded in unison. You're also level 9 legendary beasts. Did you come out to be beaten by me? Ha! The golden monkey laughed and hammered the ground excitedly with one fist. Darling, we've been despised by the damn monkey, Dazzle said helplessly. Okay, it's okay. Well, let it know later that level doesn't mean everything. Darling said very calmly, its fluffy little face full of calmness. It kept looking at the golden monkey, trying to find the weakest place on its body. Ha, this is the first time I've heard that level doesn't mean everything. Then why are we still cultivating? The golden monkey obviously didn't agree with Darling's words. However, it knew after a while that level really didn't mean everything. At least, levels are really nothing in front of these beasts who didn't care about attacking laws. Beasts with low intelligence won't be able to understand our deep words. We will prove it with the truth later. Darling sat on Big Harry's lap, crossed its legs, and said regretfully. Yes, Darling, this monkey's intelligence is too low. It definitely won't understand what you're saying, so let's demonstrate it directly. Big Harry suggested. Okay, Big Harry, Little Harry, just deal with little Yulin. Leave this monkey to us. Darling patted its chest with its little paw and said confidently. Okay. The two hairy beasts grinned happily, their faces full of schadenfreude. Yulin and the golden monkey were not as happy as they were. In their hearts, these beasts were really arrogant. Little Snowy, get your beasts to show mercy. Lan Ming, who was watching the commotion, pleaded worriedly. Boo-hoo. Little Snowy and the other beasts were smart and cunning, not something that the two bears could compare with. Moreover, he had seen the means of these beasts more than once. They were really too ruthless. His master's tender skin would definitely not be able to take it. Your master is a mystic supremacy. Leng Ruoxue reminded. Alas! Why was little Lon Lon so lacking in confidence in his master? You have a lot of beasts. Moreover, you don't play by the rules. Even a mystic supremacy will suffer. Lan Ming said worriedly. Chapter 578, The Main Beasts in Agony, 2, Little Lon Lon, you have to have confidence in your master. Otherwise, your master will be unhappy. Leng Ruoxue gave Lan Ming a look because Yulin was already staring at his disciple. Little Snowy. Lan Ming was unwilling to give up and wanted to say something, but he was interrupted by Leng Ruoxue. Alas! How can our beast be so cute? Leng Ruoxue said with infinite emotion. Darling even cooperated and gave her a flying kiss after hearing what she said. Damn fox. I'll deal with it when I have the chance. Darling's flying kiss provoked the freak, and he couldn't help muttering softly. Freak, what are you talking to yourself about? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. I wanted to say how can our beasts not be cute? The freak quickly corrected himself. Yes, their beasts are good. Leng Ruoxue agreed. Darling, you have to work hard and teach this monkey a lesson. Leng Ruoxue added. Lass, is this still a duel? Yulin asked angrily when he heard Leng Ruoxue. Yes. They want to attack together. Don't worry. Leng Ruoxue comforted very kindly. Yulin couldn't be bothered with Leng Ruoxue's obviously protective and bullying behavior. Boo-hoo. Little Minger didn't help him either. He couldn't blame that naughty girl, so he could only blame his disciple. Little Yulin, continue fighting. Don't waste everyone's precious time. Big Harry urged with backup. I can admit defeat. Yulin said speechlessly. He really didn't want to fight with beasts with abnormal defense. Levels wouldn't be of much use in such a battle. Of course, you can't. Admitting defeat is the behavior of a coward. You are a mystic supremacy, you can't do such an embarrassing thing. Little Harry said with a naughty smile. Humph. They wanted to teach Yulin a lesson. How could they let him admit defeat so easily? You are the despising mystic supremacies. What's wrong with mystic supremacies? Mystic supremacies are also humans. Why can't you admit defeat? Yulin said indignantly. Boo-hoo. His status in the boundless heaven continent was extraordinary. Even the patriarchs of the three great super families treated him with respect when they saw him. However, he was looked down upon by the two bears today. No way. Mystic supremacy is the strongest powerhouse on the boundless heaven continent. How can others survive if even mystic supremacy admitted defeat in battle? Big Harry said in disapproval. In that case, let's continue. Yu Lin was helpless. He knew that he had encountered a scoundrel today. Boo-hoo. How did he offend these two bears? Okay, this is more like a man. Little Harry, let's go. Big Harry carefully moved Darling, who was sitting on its lap, to the side. Then it rubbed its palms together and said to little Harry excitedly. Big brother, let him have a taste of our power, hee. Little Harry smiled evilly and directly threw a huge palm at Yu Lin. Moreover, this palm was headed for Yu Lin's butt. You perverted bear. Yu Lin dodged quickly and dodged little Harry's attack. He roared angrily. Damn it, why was this bear targeting his butt? You have a lot of meat there. I'm afraid it'll crush you if I hit other places. Little Harry smiled honestly. Hee, look at how kind it was. Crush me? Do you think I'm made of paper? Yu Lin's anger surged to the top of his head as he roared with a flushed face. Pretty much. Little Harry looked at its huge bare paw and said with certainty. Humph. No human could withstand the might of one palm from their brothers. If those palms really hit little Yu Lin just now, he would at least be half dead even if he didn't die. However, they would definitely show mercy to little Yu Lin and the others. I'm so angry. Take this. Yu Lin didn't want to talk nonsense with them anymore. He directly gathered mystic energy in his hands. Then, the majestic green mystic energy formed a huge whirlpool. The whirlpool seemed to have a suction force, bringing sand and stones flying. The golden monkey jumped away from the center of the battlefield as soon as Yu Lin used his mystic technique to avoid being affected. Others might not be aware of the power of its master's mystic technique, but it was very clear. What a strong wind! Darling and the other beasts hurriedly jumped into Leng Ruoxia's arms to seek protection lest they were sucked away by the strange wind. Is this a wind attribute heaven-grade mystic technique? Leng Ruoxia asked Lan Ming as she hugged the beasts in her arms tightly. Yes, this is one of Master's unique skills. It's called Rising Wind and Cloud. It's a very powerful offensive heaven-grade mystic technique. Lan Ming explained. Alas. It seemed like Master was really angry. He actually even used his unique skill. He didn't know if those two bears could withstand it. Little Snow would definitely go crazy if those two bears were injured. He was really conflicted. It looks pretty powerful. Leng Ruoxia praised. Hee, this skill was good. Okay. Lan Ming nodded. Alas. How could it not be powerful? This skill was very difficult. Not even mystic supremacies with the wind attribute could use it. Leng Ruoxia and the others discussed softly by the side, while the two hairy beasts, which were in the whirlpool, also secretly communicated via voice transmission. Big brother, what should we do now? Little Harry asked worriedly. This skill was very powerful. It had yet to really unleash it, but it could already feel the intimidating pressure. It didn't know if the brothers could withstand it if they joined forces. Don't worry. He's a mystic supremacy. Isn't it normal to have powerful mystic techniques? What are you afraid of? We have to be confident in our defense. In Miss words, well, deal with whatever comes. So don't be afraid. Even if we can't beat him, there's still Miss, isn't there? Big Harry comforted very calmly. Clearly, it had already treated Leng Ruoxia as its life-saving straw. However, in fact, it thought was right. Leng Ruoxia naturally wouldn't watch Yu Lin kill them. Yes, Big Brother is right. Little Harry composed itself and agreed. Moreover, it added another defense to the two beasts. The mystic energy used to activate such a mystic technique would definitely not be small. Therefore, it guessed that it was impossible for Yulin to release such a mystic technique twice in a row. Therefore, as long as they could withstand Yulin's wave of attacks, it would be their turn to beat Yulin up next. Chapter 579, The Main Beasts in Agony, 3. While the two hairy beasts were communicating, Yulin's mystic technique had already been brewed. Moreover, it swept towards the two hairy beasts with a strong hurricane. Len Ruoxue, the other two, and the other beasts couldn't help but gasp as they watched this exciting scene. Their gazes followed the tornado to where the two hairy beasts were. Little Harry, we have to defend. Big Harry roared and connected several more layers of defense. Seeing this, Little Harry hurriedly added a few more layers of defense. Now, both it and Big Harry were like an iron wall in front of them. Whether they could defend or not was also a huge test for them. In an instant, the tornado had already collided with the huge earthen yellow curtain wall. The curtain wall didn't budge at all after the first collision. There was still no gap in the curtain wall after the second collision. After 3 collisions, a small gap that couldn't be seen by the inner eye appeared on the curtain wall. On the 4th time, the curtain wall shattered when the tornado collided with the earthen yellow curtain wall. At the same time, the mystic energy in the hurricane was exhausted, and the entire valley temporarily returned to calm. Yulin sat on the ground while panting. He glared at the two bears, which were also very tired but refused to be outdone, and glared back at Yulin. They actually tied with little Yulin because neither of them could do anything to the other with mystic techniques. Moreover, the stamina and mystic energy of both sides were very consumed, so they temporarily didn't have the strength to launch any more attacks. How did I offend you? Yulin sighed and asked in puzzlement. Alas! The defense of these two bears was really abnormal. The mystic technique he used just now was difficult for even a mystic supremacy to defend against, but they actually defended themselves. They were very powerful even though they were working together. You scolded me yesterday. Big Harry explained while panting heavily. Then it lay on its back on all fours. Ah! What does this have to do with you? Could it be that you know Elder Wang and are here to avenge him? Yulin said doubtfully. Pfft! Who do you think Elder Wang is? Would we vent our anger for him? You can scold anyone if you want to. Why must you bring us along? Did we bears offend you? I'm very displeased. Little Harry roared like a gangster. Ah! Just because of this? Yulin felt that this battle was really unjust. He just unintentionally said bear form. How did he really attract two bears for himself? Boo-hoo. Yes, little Yulin, don't be anxious. Well, rest for a while and beat you up properly. Big Harry pouted. Ah! Didn't we draw? Why do you still have to beat me up? Yulin said with a long face, depressed. He didn't have any strength left now, so how could he be a match for the two bears? Thinking of this, his gaze couldn't help turning to Len Ruoxue, hoping that she could help him plead. Unfortunately, Len Ruoxue turned her head to the other side, completely ignoring the anticipation in his eyes. Ah! Just as Yulin was complaining in his heart that Len Ruoxue was disloyal, a shrill scream reverberated through the entire valley. Immediately, everyone's gazes were attracted by the voice. Ah! Tao Tao! Yulin's eyes widened in disbelief as he looked at the golden monkey that was being chased around by the little beasts. His jaw almost dropped from shock. Ah! Why did Tao Tao look so miserable now? More than half of her originally beautiful golden fur had fallen, and her body was bloody. What was going on? Could it be that the little beasts did it? Yulin really couldn't believe this terrifying fact because he was very confident in Tao Tao's strength. None of the little beasts were transcendent divine beasts, but everything in front of him forced him to believe that Tao Tao was really bullied very badly. Master, save me. Boo-hoo, the golden monkey Tao Tao had nowhere to hide and couldn't help crying for help from its master. Boo-hoo. These little beasts were really too terrifying. It regretted provoking them. Moreover, it wanted to take back its words. Level really didn't mean everything. Humph. Your master can't even protect himself now, so how can he care about you? You better be good and let us have the taste of beating up a transcendent divine beast. Hee hee. Darling said with a naughty smile, its fluffy face full of anticipation. No. How can you hit a female beast? Boo-hoo, Tao Tao wailed. It had always thought that male and female were equal, but it had to show weakness now. Ah, are you a female? Ling asked curiously. Yes, yes. I'm a female, so you can't bully a female beast. Tao Tao said pitifully. Its greatest wish now was that these beasts knew what it meant to be protective of the fairer sex. Otherwise, it would be miserable. So what if you are a female? In our hearts, all other female beasts can be beaten up except for the female beasts of master and master. Darling said without any pity for the fairer sex. Humph. Why didn't you say you were a female when you were humiliating us just now? There's no way you can pretend to be pitiful now. You're too evil. Ah. Tao Tao said with tears streaming down its face. Boo-hoo. It accidentally got another scratch on its body, and it couldn't help but cry out again from the pain. Why were these beasts so fast? It couldn't understand. This shouldn't be the case. It wouldn't have the slightest power to retaliate like this. Because it was only focused on dodging. Moreover, it could dodge to the left, and it would be hit from the back. Tao Tao. Yulin stood up from the ground with some effort, seeing his beast's miserable appearance. At the same time he stood up, the two hairy beasts also stood up. Hee hee, they had just secretly eaten Miss Pill and their stamina had almost recovered, so dealing with little Yulin would be easy. Master, save me. Tao Tao cried loudly. In just a while, several more wounds appeared on its body. Hee hee, little Yulin, we are your opponents, little Harry said with a smile, its expression very pure. I don't want to fight you now, Yulin said helplessly. At the same time, he was about to put the pitiful Tao Tao into the spirit beast space when a huge claw swung over and happened to slap his butt. Chapter 580, The Main Beasts in Agony, 4, Aha. A scream as miserable as Tao Tao's sounded from Yulin's mouth. The power of that voice was even greater than Tao Tao's. Hee hee, I missed. I'm sorry. Little Harry smiled foolishly with an awkward expression on its face. However, it was very smug in its heart. Humph. It finally hit Xiaoyu's butt. It was quite bouncy. Lass, your beasts are too perverted. Yulin shouted. That hit just now hurt so much that he jumped up and down. It really hurt. Boo-hoo. Little Yulin, we've said it before. Why is your memory so bad if you aren't Miss Beast? Big Harry complained while slapping Yulin. Ouch. Yulin used all his strength and finally dodged Big Harry's bare paw. However, he suffered another blow to his butt. Hee hee, I missed again. Little Harry smiled and said shyly. It felt really good. Little Harry praised in its heart. Ouch. Yulin screamed again because Big Harry slapped his butt again just as he was screaming in pain. This slap directly slapped him to the ground, and his butt was burning with pain. He didn't even have the strength to stand up, nor did he have the strength to complain about the two gangster bears. It's really not easy. I finally hit it. Big Harry looked at its huge bare paw and said sadly. Boo-hoo. It hit less than little Harry. Leng Ruoxue, who was not far away, looked speechlessly at the scarred golden monkey, and then at Yulin, who was pretending to be dead on the ground. Her forehead couldn't help but be covered in black lines. To be honest, she now quite pitied this unlucky master and beast. They could have provoked anyone, but they just had to provoke her few united and especially vengeful beasts. Alas! Little Snowy, let them stop. Lan Ming pleaded beside Leng Ruoxue. Alas! Poor master and Tao Tao. He really had nothing to help them except pity. Okay, darling, Big Harry, stop. Leng Ruoxue nodded slightly and said to Darling and the two hairy beasts. Okay, master, Darling answered very obediently. At the same time, it gave Dazzle and the other beasts a look, and they stopped chasing and intercepting the monkey. The two hairy beasts also stopped waving their bare paw at Yulin. Master, we're finally safe. Boo-hoo! Tao Tao hurriedly ran to Yulin's side and cried when she saw that the danger was resolved. Yes. Yulin nodded and hugged Tao Tao while the two beasts cried together. Leng Ruoxue didn't know whether to laugh or cry when she saw Yulin and Tao Tao crying. Ah! They only suffered some superficial wounds. Did they have to cry like this? Her beasts knew their limits when they attacked, so she watched the commotion with relief. Master, here. Lan Ming braced himself and walked to Yulin's side helplessly and handed him 2 pills. You heartless bad disciple. Yulin took the pill, ate one himself, and fed Tao Tao another. Then he roared at Lan Ming angrily. You're full of energy when you scold people. It seems like you're fine. Leng Ruoxue and the freak walked over and teased. Nothing. Who said I'm fine? My butt still hurts. Yulin glared at Leng Ruoxue angrily. Boo-hoo. It was all her hooligan beast's fault. Is that so? Big Harry, Little Harry, you spanked him. He's still in pain. You have to be responsible for treating him. Leng Ruoxue ordered 2 hairy beasts directly. Yes, Mississippi. We will definitely be responsible. Big Harry promised, his fluffy face revealing a rather wretched smile. Little Jade Lin, don't be scared. We won't leave you alone. After speaking, Little Harry directly carried Yulin on its body like it was carrying a sack. A huge bare palm happened to support Yulin's butt, causing great mental pressure on Yulin. You perverted bear, put me down quickly, Yulin roared, wanting to cry but had no tears. Boo-hoo. What did this bear want? Did it want to take advantage of him? Little Yulin, doesn't your butt hurt? I just wanted to carry you away out of goodwill. How can you shout at me? I'm too sad, Little Harry said aggrievedly, its black and bright eyes flashing with tears. Damn it, this isn't hugging, it's carrying. Yulin was carried on Little Harry's shoulder with his head facing down, so all the blood in his body rushed to his head, making him dizzy. Oh, then this should be considered as hugging. Little Harry corrected itself. After hearing Yulin's words, it immediately hugged Yulin like a princess and placed a bare paw on Yulin's butt righteously. Ah! Yulin was speechless. He realized that he was indeed not on the same channel as this hooligan bear because they could not communicate at all. He simply shut his mouth at this point. Ha! Leng Ruoxue and the freak laughed rudely when they saw Yulin's expression. Tao Tao and Lan Ming didn't dare to laugh at all. They suppressed their laughter, their faces flushed red, and looked at Yulin with pity in their eyes. Miss, should we go back? Little Harry couldn't help asking with Yulin in its arms. Okay, let's go back. Leng Ruoxue sat directly on the little peacock's back after speaking, and the others and beasts sat up one after another. Little Harry, I can't carry you in your original form. The little peacock looked at Yulin, who was in Little Harry's arms, and smiled gently. It's okay. You can fly, and I can walk. Little Harry frowned in distress as it pondered. Then it looked at little Yulin in its arms. Alas! It was a little reluctant to put it down. It made up its mind after a while. You hooligan bear, put me down quickly, Yu Lin shouted, unwilling to give up. Unfortunately, his words were ignored by little Harry. Miss, go back first. I'll go with little Harry. Big Harry scratched its big head and said foolishly. Okay then. Little Peacock, let's go. Len Ruoshua ordered after some thought. Yes, boss master. The little peacock ignored Yu Lin's pleading gaze and left directly after hearing Len Ruoxua's words. Yu Lin's cry for help sounded from behind them. Chapter 581, Moon-Gazing City, 1, Don't Leave Me Behind. Boo-hoo, Little Snowy, will my master be okay? Lan Ming, who was sitting on the little peacock's back in the sky, said worriedly. No, what can happen to him as a man? The two hairy beasts are also male. Don't worry. Len Ruoshua comforted, very unsympathetic. Lan Ming was worried when he heard Len Ruoxua's words. Who said that nothing would happen to men? It would be more pitiful if something happened to men. Little Lan, don't let your imagination run wild. Little Harry isn't interested in men. Darling, who was lying in Len Ruoxua's arms, said understandingly. I'm not letting my imagination run wild. Lan Ming quickly denied it, thinking, why are little snowy beasts so shrewd? Little Lan, your thoughts are written all over your face. My beasts can tell. Don't quibble, Len Ruoshua exposed Lan Ming. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Lan Ming's forehead. He couldn't help thinking. Was his performance that obvious? Alas. I'm also quite worried about Master. Tao, who was hiding in Lan Ming's arms, also said carefully. Damn monkey, you should worry about yourself. You don't have to worry about that man. Darling said angrily. Why don't you know how to be protective of the fairer sex at all? Boo-hoo, Tao said with tears in her eyes, a little scared. TCH, I won't pity you even if I have to. Darling said disdainfully. Humph. It was a stingy and vengeful fox. It had yet to forget the humiliation this damn monkey had given them, so the feud between them was set. It would not change because of gender. Boo-hoo, Tao cried softly in Lan Ming's arms after hearing what Darling said. The atmosphere instantly fell silent. Master, we're here, the little peacock suddenly said after a while and descended at the entrance of the carefree hall. Okay. After Len Ruoshua and the others and the beast jumped off the little peacock's back, the little peacock also transformed and followed them into the inn. Len Ruoshua and the others went directly to the living room after returning to the inn. Miss, where did you go? Zheng En, who was in the living room, asked hurriedly when he saw Len Ruoshua and the others. I went out to look at houses with Yu Lin, Len Ruoshua said softly. She couldn't help thinking, I wonder how Yu Lin is doing now. Why are we looking at houses? Aren't we leaving tomorrow? Zheng En asked in puzzlement. Is that old boy Yu Lin going to give you a house? The little old man sitting beside Zheng En said with a smile. Hee, that old thing Yu Lin was pretty fast. Unfortunately, his wishful thinking was destined to be ineffective. This girl couldn't be manipulated at will. Yes, he also wants me to be an elder of the Mystic Association headquarters. I only need to be in name and receive the same treatment as the other elders every month. Moreover, I don't have to do anything. Len Ruoshua said indifferently, her expression unreadable. Miss, there's actually such a good thing. Zheng En said in disbelief. At the same time, he was puzzled. What did Yu Lin want? Yes. Len Ruoshua nodded slightly. Lass, did Yu Lin come to the Mystic Association? The little old man looked at the scared golden monkey in Lan Ming's arms and asked curiously. Why was this monkey together with the kid from the Lan family? Wasn't this Yu Lin that old man's favorite? No, we're back. Little Harry's loud voice sounded in the living room just as the little old man finished speaking. The little old man looked at Yulin, who was carried in by little Harry, and was stunned. His face was full of question marks. Ah! What was going on? Moreover, this hugging posture was too. Hee, little Harry, you're back pretty quickly. Darling jumped in front of little Harry. Okay. Little Harry nodded honestly. Then it specially found a spacious place to stand, but Yulin was still unwilling to put him down. Little Harry, aren't you tired hugging him? The little old man, who had returned to his senses, looked at the depressed Yulin and couldn't help asking. Well, he still didn't understand what was going on. No, he's very light, little Harry said and looked at the little old man cautiously, as if the little old man wanted to snatch him away. Oh. Then continue carrying him. 2 drops of cold sweat couldn't help dripping down the little old man's forehead. How was little Harry's expression like that? Miss, what happened? Zheng En couldn't help asking softly when he saw the extremely strange scene. Hee, Zheng En, I'll tell you. Darling ran in front of Zheng En again and said as if it was presenting a treasure. Then it recounted the incident to Zheng En and the little old man who didn't know the truth. After hearing Darling's words, Zheng En and the little old man looked at Yulin with incomparable pity, not knowing what to say. Alas! The mighty president of the Mystic Association headquarters. How did they encounter such an unlucky thing? Why are you looking at me like that? Yulin, who was already depressed, couldn't help shouting furiously when he saw Zheng En and the little old man's gazes. Nothing. I just want to ask you if your butt still hurts. I have pills here, the little old man said with a chuckle. His expression was indescribably happy. Hee, seeing Yulin like this, the depression he suffered from Wugong lessened significantly. Thank you, it doesn't hurt anymore, Yulin said dejectedly. Boo-hoo. His butt actually didn't hurt anymore, but the bear's palm was on his butt, making him feel very stressed. Miss, he said it doesn't hurt anymore. We cured him, little Harry said excitedly, its smile hanging on its fluffy face. Okay, brew your relationship. I'll go back to my room to rest for a while. Leng Ruoxua nodded with a smile and said to everyone present. After speaking, she stored the beasts in the bracelet and left the living room with the freak. Leng Ruoxua returned to her room and brought the freak directly into the bracelet. Shuer, you're back. Empty sat on a stone chair in front of the purple bamboo house and drank tea while looking at the two of them with a smile. Yes. Leng Ruoxua nodded and pulled the freak to a seat. Chapter 582, Moon-Gazing City, 2, Shuer, where are we going tomorrow? Empty asked curiously. He didn't know where to go even though he had decided to leave tomorrow. Let's go back to Myriad Mountain City first tomorrow and then go to the Boundless Heaven continent to train, Leng Ruoxua said after some thought. In fact, she hadn't thought too much about where to go now. She could go wherever she wanted. She could train wherever she went anyway. What do you intend to do with Cheng Wu and the others? Empty asked. They should stay in Myriad Mountain City. They can stay in Carefree City if they want. Didn't Yulin give us a house? It's big enough for them to stay in. Leng Ruoxua said. What I mean is that they might want to follow you. Seeing that Shuer didn't understand what he meant, he had to put it bluntly. I'm going to train. There's no need to do anything by myself with them following me. What's the point of training then? Leng Ruoxua said helplessly. In fact, she had considered this problem before. She thought that Cheng Wu and the others might request to follow her, but she didn't intend to bring them along to train. In fact, I think it's not impossible to bring them along. It's just that it will be inconvenient for us to enter the space if that's the case, Empty said after some thought. It would be much safer to bring those people on the road. However, it might also be as Shuer said, the effects of training would be much worse. Tell me more. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. Okay, Shuer, rest early today. We have to travel tomorrow. Empty reminded her. Okay, well go and rest first, Leng Ruoxue said. Then she stood up and pulled the freak back to the purple bamboo hut. The next day. At the entrance of the carefree city. Little Snowy, where are you going? Lan Ming looked at Leng Ruoxue and the others reluctantly. We returned to Myriad Mountain City first and then went for training, Leng Ruoxue explained. Oh, Lan Ming answered gloomily and then fell silent. Little Lan, why are you acting like this? It's not like we won't see you again. Icy, who was lying in Leng Ruoxue's arms, couldn't take it anymore. How am I? Lan Ming hurriedly denied, his handsome face slightly red. Little Lan, farewell. Leng Ruoxue said calmly. Alas. She really didn't know what to say when she saw Lan Ming's appearance. Yes, I'll look for you when I have time, Lan Ming said after some thought. Boo-hoo. In fact, he also needed to train. However, his master was throwing a tantrum now and forbade him from leaving. Alas. Leng Ruoxue nodded slightly and stopped talking lest she became sad. Hee, little Yulin, don't miss us. After a long silence, little Harry's loud voice suddenly sounded, breaking the silence. I won't miss you. Yulin said through gritted teeth. Boo-hoo. He was too ashamed to face anyone now because many people had seen him when he was carried back by little Harry yesterday. Now, everyone was looking at him strangely, making him uncomfortable all over. But we will miss you, especially your bouncy little butt. Little Harry said with a wretched smile. Damn it, stop having ideas about my butt, Yulin said fiercely. So what if I hit you? Come and bite me. Little Harry provoked and winked at Yulin. Yulin took a deep breath and composed himself. He decided to ignore the two hooligans. Alas. They were from different channels and couldn't communicate. Everyone present couldn't help turning their heads to snicker after hearing their conversation. Of course, this was all to give Yulin some face. Lass, it's getting late. Leave quickly. Yulin flew into a rage out of humiliation and began to chase them away. He didn't want to see these people for the time being. Boo-hoo, because it would remind him of the sad incident yesterday. It's still early. There's no hurry. Leng Ruoxue smiled evilly and pretended to be stupid. It's getting late. Let's go quickly. Otherwise, you will be sleeping outdoors tonight, Yulin urged. Alas. Seems like we're unwelcome people. In that case, let's go. Leng Ruoxue sighed and said to everyone aggrievedly. Miss, let's go then. Little Harry transformed into a bear with Big Harry and jumped onto the little peacock's back first. Then it reluctantly turned to look at Yulin. Okay, let's go. Leng Ruoxue sat on the little peacock's back after speaking. Master, let's go. The little peacock said to Leng Ruoxue seeing that everyone had already sat down. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded. The little peacock flapped its wings gently and slowly flew into the sky until it became a small black dot that disappeared from Lan Ming and Yulin's sight. Little Yulin, we will come back for you. Don't forget us. Lan Ming and Yulin were about to turn around and walk back when little Harry's loud voice sounded from the sky, scaring Yulin to the ground. Master, are you okay? Lan Ming hurriedly went forward to help his master up and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Alas. 2 Cents' power was really great. It seemed like they had already caused serious mental trauma to his master. Poor master. It's okay, little Minger. Let's go back to the Mystic Association headquarters quickly. Oh right, quickly send a notice after we go back that bears of any breed are prohibited from entering this city. People in Carefree City are also not allowed to talk about topics related to bears. They are not even allowed to mention the word bear. Otherwise, they will be expelled from the city. Yulin ordered directly. He really didn't want to see any bears anymore. He didn't even want to hear the word bear anymore. Master, this isn't too good, right? What about Big Harry and Little Harry? They belong to Little Snowy. Little Snowy will definitely be angry if it finds out that you don't allow them to enter the city. Lan Ming said with a troubled face. Alas! Master's order was really too difficult. One had to know that many mystics used bears as contract beasts. By not letting bears enter the city, I mean not letting them wander outside. Those with masters have to stay in the spirit beast space, Yulin explained. Ah! He just didn't want to see nor hear about bears. It wasn't that he didn't allow bears with masters to enter the city. Chapter 583, Moon-Gazing City, 3. Oh, I understand, Lan Ming answered, and the master and disciple returned to Carefree City together. From then on, there was another ridiculous order in Carefree City. People who knew the truth couldn't help laughing happily whenever they thought of the reason for this order. Half a month later, in the evening, Leng Ruoxue and the others returned to Myriad Mountain City. Miss, you're back. The head butler, who was cleaning the yard on the back mountain where Leng Ruoxue was staying, immediately shouted happily when he saw the little peacock landing in the yard. Boo-hoo! Miss and the others had left for almost 2 months. They were finally back. If they hadn't returned, he would have gone to Carefree City to look for them. Yes, head butler, you've worked hard. Leng Ruoxue looked at Wang Long, who was helping them clean up the yard, jumped down from the little peacock's back and said. Not at all, Mississippi, you're finally back. I missed you so much, the head butler said excitedly. Tears welled up in his eyes and he was about to cry. Wang Long. I just realized today that you are so sentimental. Chen Wu, who was still sitting on the little peacock's back, couldn't help teasing when he saw the butler's appearance. You, the head butler blushed at Chen Wu's words. He stammered for a long time but couldn't say a complete sentence, so he could only glare fiercely at Chen Wu and the others. Boo-hoo. In fact, he was jealous of them. Why could they follow Miss while he had to stay behind to look after the family? It was really too unfair. Alright, stop teasing him. Everyone, rest early today. I have something to tell you tomorrow. Leng Ruoxue very kindly helped Wang Long out of the predicament and told everyone. Yes, Chen Wu and the others hurriedly answered and jumped down from little peacock's back. However, they looked at Leng Ruoxue anxiously and expectantly after coming down. Miss, what's the matter? Tell me now, or I won't be able to sleep. Song Di mustered his courage and asked, seeing that no one dared to speak. His words made them very uneasy. You will know tomorrow. Go and rest now. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly. Alas! When did these people become so impatient? Miss, I don't need to rest. Tell me first, the head butler said carefully. But I have to rest. I'm tired from flying for so long. Grandpa, do as you please. Leng Ruoxue said calmly. After speaking, she directly pulled the freak back to her room. In the room, the freak gently hugged Leng Ruoxue's slender waist and hugged her in his arms. He said softly, Shuer, you're so naughty. You deliberately whetted their appetite. There's nothing I can do. I'm really tired. Leng Ruoxue said innocently. Yes. Shuer, let's rest early then, the freak hurriedly said. Boo-hoo. There were more and more light bulbs around him, and he and Shuer spent less and less time alone together. Hee, freak, bully me. Leng Ruoxue said with a naughty smile. Alas! There were too many things happening recently, and she didn't have time to bully the freak. Shuer, then you have to be gentler. The freak lay directly on the bed cooperatively and looked at Leng Ruoxue expectantly. Yes. Don't worry, I will definitely be gentle. Leng Ruoxu's soft hand caressed the freak's chest after speaking. Hee, it felt really good. Swear, are you just touching me? The freak said with great dissatisfaction, as if his body was on fire. Of course. Leng Ruoxue pretended to be stupid mischievously. Hee, the freak looked so cute now. Moreover, it made her want to bully him. Swear, this won't do. At least, the freak pulled Leng Ruoxu's head down and kissed her pink and alluring lips after speaking. Yes. Freak, I'm about to suffocate, Leng Ruoxue whispered after kissing for a long time. It's okay. I'm here. I'll give you artificial respiration. The freak carefully tasted the sweetness in Schwer's mouth as he said, oh, it's delicious. He hadn't eaten for a long time. Boo-hoo. He wanted to eat to his full today. Freak, I'm angry. Leng Ruoxue gently pushed away the freak, hugging her after a while, her beautiful face full of dissatisfaction. Ah. Then what do you want? The freak's little heart kept thumping, and his bright black eyes were full of puzzlement. I want to take the initiative. Leng Ruoxue said domineeringly. Then she pounced on the freak and kissed him fiercely on the lips. Schwer, I like you taking the initiative, the freak said with great satisfaction. Then he deepened the kiss and took the initiative to open his mouth to welcome Schwer's fragrant tongue visit. Their lips and tongues intertwined, mutually helping each other. After a long while, the two reluctantly ended this sweet long kiss and hugged each other tightly to sleep. The next morning, Cheng Wu and the others were already waiting for Leng Ruoxue and the freak in the hall when they left the room. Moreover, everyone had 2 dark circles on their faces, obviously not sleeping well. Ah. It's only been one night. Why are there so many pandas? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help teasing as she looked at everyone. I didn't sleep well yesterday, Cheng Wu said shyly. They all had insomnia last night. Alas. Oh, why don't you go to bed now? Leng Ruoxue suggested very kindly. No need. We're not sleepy. Miss, tell us quickly if you have anything. Cheng Wu said anxiously. There's no hurry. How can I bear to say it seeing your haggard appearance? Alas. Leng Ruoxue sighed heavily. Miss, we are all men. It's okay if we don't sleep for a night. Tell us quickly if you have anything to say. Otherwise, we will continue to suffer from insomnia. Song Di said anxiously. All right then. Leng Ruoxue looked at everyone in the hall with her beautiful eyes and then said indifferently, I intend to leave Myriad Mountain City. What? Miss, you're leaving. The head butler stood up excitedly and said in disbelief. Miss said that she wouldn't stay in Myriad Mountain City for long in the past, but he didn't expect her to leave so soon. Boo-hoo. What would happen to them if Miss left? Chapter 584, Moon-Gazing City, 4, Miss, you don't want us anymore? Cheng Wu looked at Leng Ruoxue pitifully like a puppy that was about to be abandoned. Miss, how can you abandon us? Song Di complained with tears in his eyes as he looked at Leng Ruoxue resentfully. Miss, we are all your people. You can't abandon us. The second butler also cried, his miserable appearance as if Leng Ruoxue was a heartless man who abandoned him after he started. Leng Ruoxue was at a loss for words as she looked at the crying men in front of her. Alas! Did they have to make it sound so ambiguous? People who didn't know better would think that she really did something wrong to them. Alas! Don't be like this. You're not children anymore. Weren't you living well without me? Moreover, Myriad Mountain City is in your control now. It won't be like before. You will live well in the future, Leng Ruoxue said with a sigh. That's different. No one cared about us in the past, but we're used to listening to your orders now. If you leave, Song Di will be the first to be unconvinced no matter who becomes the boss in Myriad Mountain City. Song Di said resolutely. He would not submit to anyone except for Mississippi. Me too. Cheng Wu echoed. I'm not convinced either, the head butler said. We're all unwilling to accept this, everyone roared in unison. Don't be like this. I told you long ago that Myriad Mountain City has nothing to do with me. Have you forgotten? Len Ruoxue reminded them. She had said that she would not interfere when they destroyed the 5 major factions, even though the head butler and Cheng Wu had always wanted to be lazy. Boo-hoo. Miss, you can't abandon us. We won't be able to live without you, the head butler cried. Is it that serious? Len Ruoxue was very speechless. Alas. Did it have to be so exaggerated? Yes, the head butler said hurriedly. Absolutely. Cheng Wu agreed very much. I am going to Myriad Mountain City to train. I didn't say I won't be coming back in the future. Len Ruoxue had no choice but to use a stalling tactic. She was not sure if she would return in the future, but looking at the current situation, she had to say this. Moreover, she had some feelings for these people after being together for so long, so she didn't want them to be too sad because of her departure. Training? Will you come back? Everyone was stunned. Could they have misunderstood Miss? Miss, where are you going to train? Cheng Wu asked very cautiously. Not sure yet. Wherever we go counts. Len Ruoxue said. The Boundless Heaven continent was very big, and there were many places suitable for training. However, they would probably choose a relatively small and dangerous place. After all, the strength of her elder brother and the others were not very high. Miss, then let me accompany you. Cheng Wu said schemingly. If he followed Miss wouldn't be able to shake him off. Miss, I'll go with you too. Song Di said quickly, also reacting. I want to go too. Everyone quickly said. They were not stupid and knew that it was safer to follow Len Ruoxue. Otherwise, they might be abandoned again. The place we're going isn't suitable for you, Len Ruoxue said weakly. They were going to train. What was the point of bringing such a group of mystic sovereigns? Miss, we also need experience. Cheng Wu said shamelessly. The place we're going won't be very dangerous. What can you gain from training? Len Ruoxue couldn't help asking. Alas. They might have stayed for a few more days if Myriad Mountain City was still the chaotic Myriad Mountain City from before. However, no one dared to challenge them in Myriad Mountain City now, so there was no need to stay here. Miss, I really need your guidance, the head butler said sincerely. Boo-hoo. Miss didn't bring him along when she went to Carefree City last time. He should be included in this experience. You're already an adult and don't need my guidance anymore. 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down Len Ruoxue's forehead as she thought, can't you not be like this? Alas. Miss, can't we go and give you a beating if you go for training? We won't attack easily even if you encounter danger unless you ask us to attack. Is that okay? Cheng Wu said as he racked his brains. No. You are all mystic sovereigns. How can I let you do odd jobs? Feng De and the others are enough, Len Ruoxue said with firm will. She would not bring them along. Just as Empty said, it would be a little inconvenient for them to enter the space if she brought them along. In addition, Myriad Mountain City needed them more. Ah. Since Miss is determined, we won't force Mississippi. We will guard Myriad Mountain City for Mississippi. Miss has to return early. The head butler suddenly became understanding. Cheng Wu and the others glared at him angrily as if he had said something he shouldn't have said as soon as he finished speaking. Miss, well, take our leave first, the head butler said and pulled Cheng Wu and the others out of the hall. Lass, are you really not bringing them along? The little old man, who was sitting in the hall without saying a word after the main butler and the others left, asked a little reluctantly. Alas. Lass was still amazing. She had subdued such a group of loyal subordinates not long after coming to Myriad Mountain City. Yes, They are more suitable staying here, Leng Ruoxue said. Alas. In fact, she was relatively satisfied with Cheng Wu and the others after interacting with them for the past few days. However, she couldn't bring them along because Myriad Mountain City needed them more. It was impossible for Leng Ruoxue to take all these people from Myriad Mountain City, and Cheng Wu and the others were the pillars of Myriad Mountain City. If she took them away, Myriad Mountain City would become an empty shell. This way, other forces would quickly snatch Myriad Mountain City, and everything they had done previously would be in vain. Yes, Myriad Mountain City really can't do without them now. The little old man knew the situation in Myriad Mountain City better than anyone, so he agreed with Leng Ruoxue. Chapter 585, Moon-Gazing City, 5, Miss, when are we leaving? Zheng En asked. In fact, he could understand Zheng En and the others' feelings very well. Moreover, he was very glad to be able to follow Miss. The day after tomorrow. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. There were some things she needed to explain. Miss, I'll go see if there's anything to prepare, Zheng En said. Then he stood up and left the hall. Yes, Grandpa do you intend to travel with us or stay in Myriad Mountain City? Leng Ruoxue nodded and then turned to ask the little old man. Lass, of course I'm leaving with you. Do you want to abandon me too? The little old man asked pitifully with a bitter face. Ah. How can that be? Leng Ruoxue's forehead was full of black lines. She thought, Grandpa do, why are you like this too? The little old man is Zheng En's master, so she can't not bring him along even if she wants to. That's good. Boo-hoo, the little old man said with a sigh of relief. Grandpa do, let's set off the day after tomorrow. Do you have anything to prepare? Leng Ruoxue asked. No, I've always brought all my belongings with me. I can go wherever I want, the little old man explained. In fact, no powerhouse like them would stay in one place for too long. Therefore, many people would bring everything with them even if they had a fixed residence. Oh, Grandpa do, have a good rest for the next 2 days, Leng Ruoxue reminded. There wouldn't be much time to rest after going out for training. Yes, yes. Lass, don't worry about me. I'll take care of myself, the little old man promised. Okay, Grandpa do, let's take a walk outside. Leng Ruoxue nodded slightly and left the hall with the freak. After Leng Ruoxue and the freak left the hall, they didn't disturb anyone. They quietly left their residence and arrived at the inner city of Myriad Mountain City. Walking on the streets of the inner city, Leng Ruoxue looked at the bazaar, which was obviously much more lively than before, and was very satisfied with the current situation. She knew that this was all the credit of the head butler and the others because they really treated Myriad Mountain City as their home. Schwer, where are we going? The freak couldn't help asking curiously when he saw that Schwer only looked around without any destination. We're not going anywhere. Freak, we can go back, Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. So soon? The freak said in disbelief. Yes, I've seen everything I want to know, Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. Then let's go back, the freak said. A good man listened to his wife. Leng Ruoxue nodded and then summoned the little peacock. The two of them sat on the little peacock's back and returned to their residence in the back mountain. Miss, you went out. Zheng En said in surprise when he saw the little peacock landing in front of him in the yard. Yes, I went out for a walk. Zheng En, get the head butler to see me. Leng Ruoxue jumped down from the little peacock's back and ordered directly while pulling the freak into the hall. Yes, Zheng En answered and left. After a while, the head butler came to the hall with Zheng En. Miss. What's the matter? The head butler asked curiously when he saw Leng Ruoxue sitting in the hall. Head butler, well, leave the day after tomorrow. I have something to tell you before we leave, Leng Ruoxue said bluntly. Miss, please instruct me, the head butler said very respectfully. Everything I want to say is in this letter. open it after I leave. In addition, distribute the things in here to Cheng Wu and the others. Leng Ruoxue gave him a storage ring after handing him a letter. Yes, Mississippi. Is there anything else? The head butler asked. Not for now, Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. What she wanted to say had been written in the letter just now, so there was nothing else to say. Then I'll take my leave first, the head butler said hurriedly. Okay. Leng Ruoxue nodded. Shuer, don't you think that the head butler is a little strange? The freak sensed the urgency in the head butler's departure and asked in puzzlement. Really? Freak, are you thinking too much? Leng Ruoxue said nonchalantly. Maybe, the freak said doubtfully. Zhengyan, hold a farewell banquet tonight. I'll send Feng De and the others to you later. This will be kept secret for now. Leng Ruoxue thought for a while and said to Zhengyan, alas. Perhaps it was because she was leaving, she was actually a little sad. Yes, miss, Zhengyan answered happily. He hadn't known Cheng Wu and the others for long, but they got along very well. Moreover, Cheng Wu and the others specially went to Carefree City to save him, so he was very grateful to Cheng Wu and the others. Then, with a thought, Leng Ruoxue moved Feng De, the others, and the beasts out of the bracelet. Miss, leave the farewell banquet tonight to us. Feng De immediately said to Leng Ruoxue as soon as he emerged. They had heard what Miss said in the space just now, and Qing Ju had brought them a lot of food. Okay, prepare a sumptuous meal. Tell me directly if you need anything, Leng Ruoxue ordered. Hee, miss, just leave it to us. Feng De patted his chest and promised. Okay. After preparing for nearly an afternoon, Feng De and the others finally prepared the farewell banquet. Zhengyan took the initiative to invite the main butler and the others after preparing. Zhengyan, why is Miss looking for us again? The head butler beside Zhengyan asked in bewilderment. Miss is leaving, of course she wants to talk to you. Why? Are you unwilling to come? Zhengyan teased with a naughty smile. That's not what I mean. I'm just curious what's the matter, miss? The head butler hurriedly explained. Boo-hoo. How could Zhengyan wrong him? How wronged would he be if misheard and misunderstood? You'll know when we get there. Zhengyan said mysteriously, you're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.